might be that guy.
Incidentally, Michael Buffer used the traditional French pronunciation, RIGONDEAUX, and I would have gone there too, except that Guillermo gives it a little Cuban flavor. He says it's RIGONDEAUX, just as Max just pronounced it. This is the 42nd professional fight for Cordoba. He's 37-2-2, and he's ranked in the top 5 in this division by Ring Magazine, and yet Emmanuel Stewart, RIGONDEAUX, in only his 7th pro fight, is the favorite.
Well, my amateur scout, my boxer Andy Lee, who told me that Parag was going to be a very tough fight for Danny Jacobs, also told me that he was in the amateurs with RIGONDEAUX, and he probably is the best amateur boxer he's ever saw in his life.
247 amateur fights, and according to what I've seen, only 4 losses.
Because of an attempt to defect in Brazil a few years ago, the Cuban Federation would not allow RIGONDEAUX to go and fight for his nation in Beijing. Had he gone, he would have been favored to win a gold medal. If he had won a 3rd Olympic gold medal, he would have joined Laszlo Papp, Teofilo Stevenson, and Felice Savon as the only 3 fighters ever to do so. And those are 3 of the greatest names in the history of amateur boxing, of course.
Unbelievable to be compared to them, and in fact, that, as you said, if he had entered the tournament, he would have won the gold medal. It seemed to be pretty obvious.
RIGONDEAUX has a very good defense, great ring generalship. He's totally relaxed in there, a really good puncher. Obviously, you can see he's a southpaw. And just according to the naked eye, when you watch the 122-pound division, Nishioka is really good, the Japanese fighter. Maybe he's considered the class of the division by many. To my eye, RIGONDEAUX looks like maybe he's already the best 122-pounder in the world, though he doesn't have the victories yet to prove it.
I'm just so impressed by his balance and body position. You know, I love balance. His weight is evenly balanced, his hands and everything is always in great position, but he's got, seems like his unbelievably gifted coordination that you cannot teach.
And Cordoba's a good, rugged fighter, Jim, as you mentioned. Ring Magazine has him in the top 5 in the division, and yet he's the prohibitive underdog.
And looking at how he weighed in tonight, I think 124, I mean, he could really fight probably at 118 to 126. He could fight in 3 different weight divisions.
And one reason that the very solidly built RIGONDEAUX is regarded by ringsiders as a favorite over Cordoba tonight, despite Cordoba's vast experience and credentials, is that in March of last year, 2009, Cordoba went to Ireland for a fight with Graham Dunn, which was a Fight of the Year candidate, a knockdown, drag-out affair in which I believe Cordoba was on the canvas 3 times, and he wound up in the hospital afterwards.
Fantastic fight. I was there at that fight.
Because you were there. Recognized both trainers. In Cordoba's corner, Orlando Cuellar out of Miami. You've seen him with the Road Warrior, Glenn Johnson, many times. And, of course, in RIGONDEAUX's corner, the veteran Ronnie Shields from Houston. You've seen him many times with fighters like Rocky Juarez and Juan Diaz and several others, going back to his days with David Tua. And he is the one who is fortunate enough to be training RIGONDEAUX right now.
He's got a pretty good stable of fighters right now that he's working with. But, you know, we're speaking about RIGONDEAUX, but also I make a point that Ricardo Cordoba is not a slouch himself. And it's interesting seeing 2 southpaws fight each other because it's a little awkward because they're used to always fighting right-handers, so it's a little uncomfortable for them. Much like when Sergio Martinez was fighting with Paul Williams. They both got knocked down the 1st round because they were not used to southpaws.
Every fight should be as awkward as that fight.
Oh, yeah.
RIGONDEAUX, you know, if you a critique here, it seems, Emmanuel, to me as though he tries to be maybe a little too perfect at times.
Well, that's going back to that amateur computer scoring system, which he had nearly, I guess, almost 300 fights. You know, you don't throw a lot of punches. You try to land just a clean punches to get the computer to points and all of that. And that he's got to get away from because in the professional fight, you have to be busy.
Well, what's happening? Do both men want to counter, Emmanuel?
Yes.
Nothing's happening. Somebody's going to have to take the lead, and it looks as though RIGONDEAUX might have seen a momentary opportunity to do so.
Yeah, he's trying to land that right hand, left hand, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's been trying to land that shot, and he's getting closer and closer.
He's a natural counterpuncher, RIGONDEAUX.
Right, and Ricardo Cordoba is a very good technical boxer himself.
And they want to turn him, Ronnie Shields wants to turn him into a more aggressive fighter, from a boxer to a more crowd-pleasing, aggressive boxer.
Shields is also training another Cuban defector named Arislandi Lara. Fights in a higher weight class, has a very similar style. Also a southpaw.
And Lara also would be well served to put more than 1 and 2 punches together.
Agreed. I believe he's a middleweight.
Junior middleweight, I think.
Junior middleweight. Good-looking fighter. You'll probably catch him in a situation like this somewhere down the road. So there was a moment of aggression from RIGONDEAUX earlier in the round. Now he goes back to feinting and trading feints part of the time with Cordoba. See there? Trade feint, trade feint. Crowd begins to get restless.
Yeah, but I'm very impressed with RIGONDEAUX regardless. I mean, his punches are so crisp and sharp and so much power behind him that it looks very good, even though he's fighting a difficult opponent. But I'm very impressed by him.
Before he went to Houston to be with Ronnie Shields, he briefly was with Freddie Roach in the wild card gym in Hollywood. And round 3 of a scheduled 12 for RIGONDEAUX and Cordoba. RIGONDEAUX in the spectacular yellow trunks with white trim. And Ricardo Cordoba of Panama on the way. Emmanuel, you saw the fight in Ireland. Cordoba wound up in the hospital. Was it the kind of fight which could leave a...
Totally opposite of this fight.
Was it the kind of fight that could leave a fighter somewhat diminished?
No, I don't think so. Just the style of certain styles just don't match up. But both of the guys are technical guys who want to counterpunch. In Ricardo's fight over there in Ireland, he's fighting Brennan Don, who was a typical aggressive Irish fighter.
And the hospital trip was precautionary?
Yeah, that was precautionary. It was a real brutal fight.
An epic fight. Really, just for pure action, it was the fight of the year.
This is not.
No, this is not the fight of the night so far.
This is not the fight of the hour.
And yet, Emmanuel, you see so many fighters in the gym. If you saw RIGONDEAUX in a gym, you didn't know who he was, what would you think?
I would be very impressed with him. He has tremendous balance and timing. It is very
Would you think you're watching something special?
Yes, I would. Just watching him, I'm still very impressed. It just they're doing the same thing over and over. What's interesting, none of the fighters today jab hard anymore. Everything is just a big explosion.
Feints.
And the jab sets up a lot of things. It relaxes the opponent, and then you let the big shots go. But these guys, every punch is a power punch. Very few effective jabs.
The other thing about a great jab, Emmanuel, is that it brings you back into the proper defensive position.
Yes, and even when they do jab, they're not really like trying to really land.
These are not effective jabs.
Not effective jabs. The jab hurts more than any other punch because this is the only punch that is direct in the center of your face, where your nose, your eyes, and everything burns, and it distracts the opponent until you can land a big shot.
And it creates offense.
Yes, it does. But these guys, nobody jabs effective too much anymore.
What did that start with? Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather.
Those are two guys who more or less dispensed with the jab. Mayweather threw a lot of them in one recent fight, but by and large...
No, they did get great speed. It was very good, great coordinated fighters.
They would time the other guy's jab and use it to counter.
As I get ready to list fighters with great jabs, I realize that virtually everyone in my mind is a heavyweight.
Ali.
Sonny Liston.
Yes.
George Foreman. Muhammad Ali.
Lennox Lewis.
You have to put Vladimir there.
Vladimir has a blistering jab. Yes. So why are there so many more jabs? Read about Pacquiao putting on his shoes next week. The writer behind him was Tom Hauser. You can find his column on Seconds Out. You can find his column on HBO's website, HBO's boxing website. Average through 3, RIGONDEAUX 8 out of 34, Cordoba 5 out of 41. Not much activity in the fight. Harold, how do you have it?
Okay, Jim. You know, it's funny. Neither guy is doing much. You got to start looking at the 4 points in which we score real closely to pick a winner in these rounds. 3-0, 30-27, Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, Jim, Guillermo's walking him down. He's the effective aggressor. He's the cleaner puncher. If anybody landed some nice clean shots, it's Rigondeaux with that right jab and that straight left hand across the top. Good defense by Guillermo Rigondeaux. And, you know, certainly he's the ring general in there. He's the one that's walking Cordoba down. 3-0, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
And down goes Cordoba as the precise shots of Rigondeaux make their point.
I think it was a body punch.
I believe it was
a straight left.
I think it was the left hand right to the right side of Cordoba's body. And Cordoba is not recovering.
Well, he was smart. He saw him rolling the shoulder every time he was throwing the left cross to the head, so instead he changed up and shot it to the body.
You know, I got to say, and now Rigondeaux recognizes it was the right hand to the body that's bothering Cordoba, and he's going after it. I got to say, I can't think of any shot that I've seen Rigondeaux hit with in this fight so far. Has Cordoba actually landed a clean punch?
No, and Cordoba's a pretty crisp puncher himself.
Big right hook by Rigondeaux. And that time he led with the right hook, which I don't think I've seen him do before.
If Rigondeaux committed to the jab and through combinations,
He would be awesome.
you know, but he's, as we've mentioned, seems preoccupied with not getting hit at all and making sure every punch he throws lands, which has worked for him through 250-plus amateur fights and so far in his professional career, but may leave the crowd a little restless at times.
Power punches landed this round, and you guys mentioned not getting hit at all. It's a 0 for Cordoba. 10 shots landing for Rigondeaux, including, of course, the body shot that created the knockdown. So this has been a separation round for Rigondeaux, who has put distance between himself and Ricardo Cordoba, even if the official scores are closer than the one Harold Letterman showed you.
No problem, nothing there, no problem. It's nothing, that's nothing. You okay? How you feeling now? Good, you recuperated? All right. The only thing you have to do is keep your elbows close into your body. But look at this, what's around this? Look, this is 5. This guy's got nothing left. He can't go that far. Okay, back again with the movement and the
Here
jab.
you see the knockdown, which was a left to the body, the same left-hand punch that he was shooting at the head for the most of the part of the fight. He shot it to the body, and Cordoba was not expecting it.
Well, that's the liver shot, and we've seen that many times before when a guy gets hit right on the liver, and sometimes it's even a delayed reaction like this before he realizes his legs are gone and he sits down.
Usually a good body punch does create a delayed reaction. Remember Roy Jones' punch with Virgil Hill, very similar to that.
Very similar.
Very similar.
Of course, the most perfect one of those shots I think I've seen in recent years was Bernard Hopkins hitting Oscar De La Hoya right on the target and ending the fight. Arturo Gatti did it to Leonard Doreen.
Mickey Ward used to do it to a bunch of guys.
Routinely.
Miguel Cotto when he was coming up.
Yeah, but Cotto ultimately developed more variety in his game.
I saw Miguel earlier today and said he had a great successful operation on his right shoulder, and that for the last 3 years he's been pretty much fighting as a one-handed fighter with his left hand only.
You know, based on what I've seen, I would dispute that, but it couldn't hurt him, I guess, to have shoulder surgery. I think he's done pretty well with the right hand the last few years, with the exception of his fight against Manny Pacquiao.
Talking to Rigondeaux yesterday, Jim or Emmanuel, one of you asked him if he watches tape, and he said, and he shrugged it off like, not just a fighter who happens not to watch tape, but like, what reason in the world would he have for watching tape was his attitude. He's seen it all.
Yes,
he's seen it all. He's not going to see anything new, and whatever his opponent does, he'll adjust.
Yeah, that the basic point was, I'm going to fight my fight anyway. It's not as if I'm going to change according to something I see on tape.
Right.
If the guy can make me change during the fight in the ring, that's another thing. But I'm certainly not going to change because of something I see on a videotape.
Right, he'll change and then he'll still win. I mean, his basic point of view is he is the best, and that the other guy has to worry about watching him.
Well, I think we can probably rest assured that in his, 250, close to 300 amateur fights, he seldom saw the opponent on tape, if ever.
That's what I believe is that. He's not used to that. And he has so much confidence in himself. Very, very confident fighter.
The nature of amateur boxing, when you might fight 3 different guys in a week, is that you got to be ready for anything.
And then sometimes when I was boxing amateur, you fought twice a night. And you had to do that sometimes 3 nights in a row.
You see, he doesn't have the pure athleticism of Gamboa.
Or the speed.
Yeah, or the speed, but he is quick and he is athletic and he's more skilled.
Now, you're talking about Gamboa because he's 4 pounds higher on the weight scale, or are you talking about him because he's another Cuban defector?
Cuban defector. And decorated amateur, gold medalist.
Do you think RigondeauX, with this body, gets into the crowded sweepstakes at 126 with fighters like Juan Manuel Lopez and various others who are stars there?
I think RIGONDEAUX goes wherever the money is. Wherever that division is, where he can get a payday, is where he's going to go.
And he's going to be a serious competitor in any weight division around 126 and under.
Yeah.
How cordial. So everything is bouquets and flowers in Margarito's dressing room, but later the atmosphere will be slightly different when we are told Freddie Roach, the trainer of Manny Pacquiao, will go there to watch Robert Garcia wrapping Antonio Margarito's hands. And now I'm told that Roach is actually in the dressing room, and that is about to take place. So we'll continue covering the events in Margarito's dressing room as we go along. And by the way, we mentioned Juan Manuel Lopez as a star at 126. Of course, Yuri Orcas Gamboa is another, and Gamboa is seated at ringside tonight. Perfect uppercut by RigondeauX as he ducks under the left hand by Cordoba.
I think Ronnie Shears has told him he needs to step it up. And he's going to have to, and he's doing just that too. And as a result, he's getting hit a little bit himself also.
Do you think Ronnie Shields might have said to him, Guillermo, you don't want to get booed on the undercard of a major pay-per-view?
I believe that. And also, you know, Ronnie himself has always tried to push his fighters on. I think he's doing a good job of telling him to be more aggressive, because to win is one thing, but to win and try to win impressively as a professional is very important.
Rigondeaux's knee hit the canvas.
That's a knockdown.
It's going to be called a knockdown.
It was a knockdown.
So now we're even in knockdowns.
6, 7.
And RigondeauX claims, incidentally, that he's never been knocked down as an amateur or a pro.
Yeah.
So if so, that would be the first time in nearly 300 fights that he's tasted the canvas. He didn't really taste it, that his knee touched the canvas.
He got hit on the chin and his knee touched the canvas.
So that amounts to a mini comeback in the fight for Cordoba.
Actually, if you get hit on any part of the body above the waist, on the shoulders, and you go down as a result of that, legitimately, that's a knockdown.
Anything other than the soles of your shoes?
Yep. But he landed a beautiful left hand shot after he got up.
So that's, if it's true that he's never been down as an amateur,
If it's true.
or in the gym they claim.
Look at Cordoba's style now. He's become the predator.
Yeah, the claim is that he's never been down in sparring, never been down in a fight, never been down, period.
So you witnessed a little history.
But
in fact.
the fight has changed, and look at the tempo. Who's the aggressor now?
Absolutely. And it wasn't a thunderous knockdown. It was just enough to change Rigondeaux's head.
RIGONDEAUX's been hit a bit in this round. Ever since he decided to move it inside, Emmanuel, as you pointed out.
Yeah, when he came in, he just started committing himself. He got hit, left himself open.
So now he goes back to the corner and says, Ronnie, you and your big idea.
went through 300 fights practically, only lost 4.
I'm blaming you, Ronnie.
Break.
They touch gloves at the end of a good round for Cordoba. Here's the replay. Right hand. Perfect shot. And watch the glove touch the canvas. Yeah, the knee didn't get there. The right glove did. Referee was entirely alert. Steve Richardson on behalf of Shane Mosley in Los Angeles, January of 2009, to make absolutely certain that Robert Garcia is totally on the up and up and wrapping Margarito's hands. And frankly, with all the scrutiny which has taken place regarding that issue, who would have expected anything else? Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. 5 rounds to 1, 58-54, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Jim's very interesting. The Cuban trainer, Ricardo Cordoba, said to me, he said, you know, Guillermo Rigondeaux is great for 5 rounds, and after that, it's our fight. And so far, he's looking pretty good. You got to give both guys an extra point for knocking the other, his opponent off his feet. So it's a 10-8 round for Cordoba in round 6, and certainly a 10-8 round for Rigondeaux in round 4 when he landed the liver shot. 5 rounds to 1, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
I'm looking at the confidence in Rigondeaux's face is not what it was earlier. He's a little bit more respectful now of Cordoba, and Cordoba seems to have much more confidence in his punching power and his ability now. It seems to be mentally growing.
When you spend hundreds of fights going 3 or 4 rounds, and then suddenly you see you're in the 7th against another guy who can fight, it's a different ballgame.
Against a guy who's ranked among the top 5 in the world in your weight class, and you're favored to beat him, even though you're only in your 7th professional fight. Rigondeaux is such a veteran with such a deep amateur career that it's regarded as something of a sacrilege to think that he could be thrown for a mental loop in a situation like this, but it's new. He hasn't been here before.
No, and Rigondeaux.
That's all. It's good.
Guillermo Rigondeaux.
Brilliant.
I get an A for that?
Absolutely.
That's the hardest part of this job, learning these names. But anyway, I think that right jab that dropped him made him go into a whole different mode of fighting.
This is why when I said to the naked eye, he looked like, to me, the best in the division, but didn't have the wins to prove it. But can't always trust your eyes. You have to see the results, and Nishioka and these guys have the results.
In the amateur program that he come from, this is where they would get those points and they would just virtually run sometimes and tick off the clock. Once they was told that they was up like 12-4, you have 2 more rounds to go, you just run, and you automatically win, which Cuba was known for that. And it looks like he's fighting that way in this particular fight.
Crowd's coming alive a little bit. It's as though the fans recognize now that the momentum of the fight is completely reversed, and suddenly Cordoba is aggressively stalking Rigondeaux.
Look at how easily Cordoba's hit him with that right jab just in the last 20 seconds, where he wasn't landing anything a few rounds ago.
Landed a body shot and a little right hand upstairs there. Cordoba has totally revived. Incidentally, his trainer Orlando Cuellar is a good cheerleader. Now, you don't need to cheerlead that much for Glenn Johnson. You know that Glenn's always going to be there. But Cuellar's doing, so obviously it's kosher in Texas.
They're both letting each other get away with it.
And I wonder, I don't know for sure whether Miguel Diaz has ever wrapped Manny Pacquiao's hands. You saw Pacquiao stop him at one point and begin to move the tape in a different direction.
The reason they don't allow tape on the head because once all tape should go on to the gauze, because they don't know what may be. It makes the hands much more tighter when you wrap it directly onto the skin, and that's why in most states they make it very clear.
In this round, Rigondeaux seems to be getting his bearings again. He's countering effectively early in the round off of Cordoba's stuff,
but not still fighting with the confidence that he had earlier in the fight.
And getting hit much more. I mean, he wasn't getting hit, and now he is.
Little body shot for Rigondeaux.
But I saw the left hand show right across the shoulders of that from Ricardo right away after that also.
Cordoba has a look of great confidence on his face.
Yes, and that's what I'm looking at.
He's believing what Cuellar has told him. The fight is now yours because we're into the second half.
Well, at this stage right now, Cordoba's dictating the fight. Even though he may be out-punted, being out-punched by accurate punches, but he's dictating the fight right now.
How far behind is he on the scorecards? That's a useful question, given that we're in the 8th of a scheduled 12. The turnaround began in round 6. First 5 rounds seem to have been dominated by RIGONDEAUX. We've told you all about the great amateur background, the excitement about him as a professional, but the simple fact of the matter is, watching what he's doing right now, he's not going to win a lot of fans.
He's fighting just like he fought as an amateur now. He's resorted back to trying to take off the clock, but this is 12 rounds, not a 4-round international fight. And this is what they would do and win points
and
across their head, but the computer doesn't work this way.
There's a difference between boxing and running, and he's doing a little running here.
Yes.
Stopping to pot shot once in a while, but basically just moving.
Yeah, this is somewhat like Miguel Cotto in the late rounds against Antonio Margarito, just trying to get away. Interesting because through the 7th round, RIGONDEAUX still had a CompuBox edge in power shots landed. But he's not going to keep that edge much longer fighting like this.
Either disqualify the fighter once those marks have been on there.
Surely back in the day, in his era as a near penniless up-and-comer in the Philippines, fighting as a teenager, Manny Pacquiao probably had to learn to do everything, including wrap his own hands.
Even though
RIGONDEAUX, very good. You're doing great.
The last round, he was backing away a lot. Ricardo Cordoba is backing him up, but he didn't punch that much. I still give the round to RIGONDEAUX.
Because of the few counters he landed early in the round?
Yes, you know, Cordoba's dictating the pace, but he's not punching enough. Right there, he should have blocked the punch and then countered with something right away, but he's not.
2 of the 3 judges are from the United States, and the 3rd is from Puerto Rico. Generally speaking, judges from the USA and Puerto Rico favor aggression. So, given the fact that Cordoba has spent the last few rounds chasing RIGONDEAUX around the ring, I'd be willing to speculate that maybe the judges gave the round to Cordoba, while you think it might have gone to RIGONDEAUX.
Because Cordoba's making all of the motions, but he's not punching that much.
RIGONDEAUX got off 4 punches and missed them all. Cordoba got in a body shot. Orlando Cuellar, according to our interpreter Jerry Olaya, Orlando Cuellar told Cordoba between rounds, you must knock your man out. You cannot win a decision. Now that's interesting because the turnaround, as I said, began in round 6. If we go the full 12, I'm not so sure that Cuellar's math is exactly correct. But obviously he wants his fighter to be aggressive and stay aggressive.
I think he gave him the right instructions.
And Cordoba has limited box office appeal.
Yeah.
RIGONDEAUX is seen as a guy who may be able to compete at the highest levels,
Yeah, that's what
and Top Rank could make some money from. And as the promoter of the card, with a potential moneymaker, although not fighting exactly like this, he won't make a lot of money, but a potential moneymaker in the lead promoter's eyes, you know, you can understand where the guy who's considered the B side of the fight, his trainer may think close rounds are not going to him.
Very good statement, Max.
I wonder if RIGONDEAUX understands. Culturally, this is not acceptable for someone to become a boxing star in America fighting this way. I wonder if he realizes that he's penalizing himself.
I think he's not even thinking it. His instincts is going back after nearly 3.5 fights to doing what he's been doing all his life. The skin on their heads, everything has to be gauze, and only tape can usually be at the top part. The same way they don't use any tape anywhere on the knuckle area. It has to be almost about an inch or half an inch beyond the knuckle, back on the back part of the hand.
Average CompuBox numbers per round through round 9 in this fight. RIGONDEAUX 10 out of 37. Cordoba only 6 out of 43. Cordoba seems to have had the momentum in the last couple of rounds, although, as Emmanuel Stewart points out, he hasn't landed very much. Emmanuel Stewart, how do you have it through 9? or excuse me, Harold Letterman. How do you have?
Well, Emmanuel, how do you have?
No, Harold, how do you
Okay,
have?
sorry.
87-82, 7 rounds to 2, Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, Jim, I got to tell you something. I watched round 7 and 8 as close as anybody watched round 7 and 8. And Ricardo Cordoba came forward, and I'm telling you, he didn't let his hands go. He didn't land enough to win those rounds. No way. I mean, he just lost them by not punching, which he does very often. He's doing it right here. He should be punching with both hands. I mean, he's got Rigondeaux running away. For God's sake, let go with a few. You know, wrap him, knock him out, do something. Meantime, Rigondeaux's piling up points doing that. Anyway, 7 rounds to 2, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
You know, it just goes to show you that just because you're trained by a particular guy who's been successful with a fighter who exhibit a certain style doesn't mean that you're going to be able to go into the ring and do the same thing. Could you imagine Glenn Johnson tracking a man around the ring for 2 rounds with the kind of advantage Cordoba had and not letting his hands go? It's the last thing in the world that would happen.
You know, and it's funny when he blocks the punches from Rigondeaux, he doesn't return punches back.
Well, you know, Jim, Glenn Johnson maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years ago may have done that, but has had so much experience at the very top of the world-class level that I guess he's learned. He knows better.
He throws and throws.
He throws and throws to compensate for other advantages his opponent might have.
But you know, a lot of time the crowd, the booing of the crowd does affect some of the judges. And I think that was a factor like in the Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad fight, when Oscar, the last 2 rounds just took off completely. And it irritates the judges as well as the crowd sometimes. And they just take points, even though a guy may be outboxing the guy, but he's doing it in a running manner.
It still doesn't explain how one of the most decorated and respected judges in the sport gave 3 of the first 4 rounds to Trinidad. De La Hoya certainly wasn't running then. Good counter right hand by Rigondeaux.
Gracias. Stop. Break.
And now Freddie Roach will examine the gloves. And incidentally, both fighters are wearing 8-ounce Reyes gloves. And Emmanuel Stewart, that means puncher's gloves.
That's puncher's gloves, and it's normally in 154-pound world championship fights. The rules state 10-ounce gloves, but they made an exception, even though they're calling a 154-pound junior middleweight title fight. They're running by the rules of the welterweight and the lighter weight divisions, which means you can use 8 ounces. And you know, Manny Pacquiao loves the Reyes gloves, and naturally being from Mexico, Margarita's very used to them also, because most of his career has probably been
It's amazing.
Reyes gloves.
You can win a belt in the junior middleweight division and yet fight under the rules of the welterweight division because it's a catchweight fight and therefore at 150 instead of 154 pounds.
Well, whatever everybody agrees to.
Yep.
It's the rule.
That's why the most impressive thing to me about Pacquiao is in all the modern kind of bogusy titles, it's the fact that he's won the real lineal championship in 4 separate weight classes, which no one has ever done in any era.
If you watch boxing chat rooms, you can't escape the recognition that over the course of the past several weeks, some fans expressed extreme discontent with the catchweight and sort of accused Pacquiao of cherry-picking titles and cherry-picking opponents by setting up catchweight fights. They seem to forget that fan favorites like Ray Leonard, Oscar De La Hoya, various others have fought at catchweights in the past. It's not unprecedented.
Well, except those same types of fans were upset about it then. I think it's a legitimate complaint, although it shouldn't diminish Pacquiao compared to guys like Ray Leonard, because as you mentioned, Jim, they did the same thing. That's why this modern era of belts diluting the significance of championships, even in this modern era, Pacquiao has done stuff that no one, including Henry Armstrong, has ever done. And that's what's so impressive about him.
And I'm glad you mentioned for linear weight division, because right now some of these divisions you have a 118-pound champion, 122-pound champion, 126-pound champion, 130-pound champion, 135. I mean, it's only 2 or 3 pounds between the 5 pounds. So you can accumulate titles in all those divisions.
But there are
the
40
linear championship, different weight divisions. As compared to years back, it was 135, 147, 160.
Hey, how about the
175,
154-pound belt they're contesting tonight? If Margarito wins the fight, he gets a championship belt for coming back 19 months after a suspension for loaded gloves and fighting in a division where he does not plan to fight in the future. If Pacquiao gets the belt, he gets a belt for fighting a guy who isn't a 154-pound fighter by his own admission in his first trip to the division. What isn't bogus about that?
Well, it's not.
By himself, partially assisted by Miguel Diaz, who's a veteran, and has wrapped literally dozens of fighters' hands over the years.
My idea of rapid hands, as long as you don't use plaster Paris, use whatever amount of gauze that your knees and take to keep your fighter's hands from being broken or hurt. I mean, if you use an excessive amount, all you're doing is putting extra weight on your fighter's hand anyway.
Coming to the 12th round, you saw Harold Letterman's scorecard, and you saw that Harold has RIGONDEAUX with a 5-point margin, 106-101. But what if a couple of judges watched the 7th and 8th rounds and gave those rounds to Cordoba because he was constantly going forward? Then that would make it a 1-point margin. So I'm not certain this isn't a close fight coming to the 12th.
You may be right, Jim.
We shall see.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely not, is a good fight.
No, it's not a fight that's going to tremendously enhance anybody's reputation. It's not going to send people out in the streets saying, I'm dying to see Guillermo RIGONDEAUX again. Unfortunately.
Still waiting for El Duque, Jim. The El Duque of Cuban boxing to blow in and win the World Series.
So of all the Cuban defectors we've seen, is Joel Casamayor still head and shoulders above the rest?
The most accomplished. Not the most talented, but the most accomplished by far.
The one who made the best adaptation to American professional prize fighting.
Yep.
Stop. Break. Gracias.
One question I'm often asked by boxing fans is, what would Teofilo Stevenson have done as a professional boxer? And one thing I always point out is, he never fought more than 3 rounds, so you don't know.
He wanted to fight Ali, but he wanted it to be a 3 or a 5-round fight. I mean, you know.
And you see a good example of this guy here, even though was, as you said, on the same level of accomplishments as an amateur boxer.
And Feliz.
But you see him fighting not a super fighter, but the fact that the fight has went over 3 or 4 rounds has made he's had to run back to amateur tactics. I'm just trying to run and stay ahead while he's got points.
And he's going past 8 rounds for the first time tonight, and what you saw was that he became a significantly less effective fighter after the first 4 rounds.
And all that said, he's probably up handily in a fight, or could be up handily in a fight against the top 5 or at worst 10 fighter in the division after 6 pro fights, and we're being highly critical, which tells you what we all think of his potential, even at the age of 30.
Even though Stevenson's beat a lot of our American heavyweights, most of the kids were inexperienced when they fought him, and he was a seasoned professional fighter, fighting as an amateur, with nearly 200 fights when he was fighting the guys like John Tate and those type kids.
When he does this, I don't see a single sold ticket or sold pay-per-view hookup. He is going to have to be more entertaining to succeed as an American professional.
Yep.
He's doing what he's been doing his whole career.
And U-Star Guillermo RIGONDEAUX goes 12 rounds for the very first time in his career. Harold Letterman gives the last 2 rounds to Cordoba. And as I said, to me, the abiding mystery remains rounds 7 and 8.
12 to the winner by split decision, El Chacal, Guillermo RIGONDEAUX.
Southpaws and a pair of willies. Guillermo RIGONDEAUX and Guillermo Casey. RIGONDEAUX feints with that left hand. Very wide stance from both men. And keep an eye, a watchful eye, on that left hand of Guillermo Rigondo. He will have less opportunities against a fellow southpaw. He's quick of hand, he's quick of foot, and if necessary, he can move and run. But the attitude of Willie Casey is fantastic.
I think he's hurt Casey already with a body shot, Jimmy. Those body shots are absolutely devastating. The power that's there is unbelievable. And I think Casey's being hurt early on here.
He's the best bantamweight, super bantamweight body puncher I think I've seen.
I've seen Casey's face wincing here when Rigondo threw a real good solid body shot. He's very, very, very dangerous with those left hooks and right hands to the body.
Remember, Rigondo took the world title of Ricardo Cordoba, the man from whom Bernard Dunn won. Cordoba was down in the 4th round of that, but Rigondo himself was down in the 6th round. So he can be put on his backside, all right, but not too. Oh, it's another of those crucifying left hands to the body. That one on the jaw, though. The body and jaw. There's another one to the face from Rigondo. That left hand is almost a lethal weapon.
There's just a wee bit too much power, Jimmy, and a wee bit too much skill here. Rigondo sort of has it all. He's got the power, he's got the variation.
Beautiful boxer.
Those body shots there are absolutely devastating.
Another left hand and down goes Big Bang. Rigondo's left hand is lethal. He should come with a government warning, and Willie Casey's in some distress.
He doesn't know, I think he doesn't, Jimmy, he's very badly hurt here.
He was hurt at least 3 times in that round. He won't be hurt anymore because it's all over. Willie Casey, great heart, great Big Bang, wonderful fellow. The Roy of the Rover story has for him, I'm afraid, a bitter ending. Guillermo Rigondo has been sensational in this first round. I've warned you, well, so did a lot of other people, about his punching. I saw him last when he was an amateur. He was a fantastic amateur. And he hasn't lost a pick of it at 30 years of age. And you've got to feel sorry for Willie Casey. He ran into a tsunami called Rigondo.
There's no doubt he tried his best. You know, he did whatever he had to do, Casey, to sort of survive, but he was caught with some very, very, very powerful shots there, as you can see. He doesn't know where he is.
38 seconds of the very first round. Your winner, by way of technical knockout, and still the interim WBA Super Bantamweight Champion of the world, Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux.
So we're set to go here with round number 1 in this World Championship encounter. Al Bernstein along with Antonio Tarver and Steve Farhood as we get ready to go. And Rigondeaux already with one of those wild left hands that Antonio talked about. He will throw them.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be successful tonight with that punch. You know, throwing it so wild and so wide. I think Rico Ramos is experienced enough to negate that.
Well, if we worried about Rigondeaux moving and not coming forward to throw punches, so far at least, in the early stages of this fight, he's doing it. This is the 3rd straight lefty that Rico Ramos has faced.
Amateur experience, when we talk about Rigondeaux, well, he wrote the book, 2-time gold medalist. Rico Ramos was in the Olympic trials in 08. He was a top American amateur. And in terms of professional experience, well, that number 8 bouts, that does stand out for Guillermo Rigondeaux. Only 35 rounds. Those are numbers of a young prospect fighting on showbox, not a guy ready to claim the 1st or 2nd highest spot in the junior featherweight division.
Yeah, normally if you're a guy like Rico Ramos, you got 130 amateur fights, you won 97, you won a bunch of times. That's pretty good. But when you get in the ring with RIGONDEAUX, who fought 400 amateur fights and won, reports are more than 380 of them, it doesn't quite match up. Halfway through round number 1, and it's been RIGONDEAUX coming forward. Now, remember we talked about Rico Ramos saying that he didn't feel comfortable. The nerves got the better of him when he won his world title. Will that affect him here early in his first defense?
Yeah, it seems like he's a little tight. It looks like he's a little dry. Don't see a sweat popping off him right now, but he's just going to have to relax and let his hands go. He can't expect to win a round like this where he's really not engaging. He has to start behind that jab and has to trust it.
And Sakafumi Shimoda, he threw only 39 punches per round, averaged that according to show stats. And so he was not active in that fight and had to pull it out with a knockout win. Oh, big left hand by RIGONDEAUX, and Ramos is in trouble. He's down. He is in big trouble, and there is about a half minute left to go in this round.
I think that was a push myself. He was hurt.
The knockdown was a push, but the punch did cause an effect.
RIGONDEAUX lands another straight left hand and pushes Ramos back again. Ramos against the ropes, in some trouble. Another left hand. They are raining down on Ramos.
And this is what happens when you're a natural counterpuncher. You sit back and you wait. Sometimes you wait too long and you get hit with a shot. Now here's the inexperience from Rico Ramos, still being a young fighter. Didn't move and got hit with a couple more big right hands.
He sure did. Round 1 is over, but lots of action. Let's see.
Looked like it was a left hand, to pretty high on the forehead. Now clearly Ramos is in trouble. There's no punch that lands there, and there was enough time between the left hand that hurt Ramos and Ramos going down that I don't think you should have called that a knockdown.
Really?
Was he hurt? Yes. But what? He missed that left hand.
This is an interesting one. Let's go to Chuck Giampa, a former ring official. And Chuck, what's your opinion on this one?
I concur with the referee. I think that was a knockdown. It was an accumulation. There was a little delay, but he did go down, in my opinion, as a result of a punch.
Let's poll the panel, Antonio.
I agree. I know it was the punch that caused the effect from the knockdown, but it looked like he pushed him, and he was hurt bad, though.
Yeah, we head into round number 2, and Steve, I hate to say it, I'm going to agree with the other guys.
I stand alone and proud and proud.
But you're proud. All right, we head into round number 2. That doesn't mean you're wrong.
That's right.
Scheduled for 12, but a shocking development in round number 1. Guillermo RIGONDEAUX, not known as a monstrous puncher. He's more of a boxer, although against Willie Casey in his last fight, he got a stoppage in that, and he was a terror, beating Casey in his hometown of Dublin, Ireland, and he has come out with the same aggression here in this fight against Rico Ramos. And now Rico Ramos' mission is to right the ship.
Yeah, I don't think it could have been a much worse start for Rico Ramos. And to me, in the long term for this fight, the fact that RIGONDEAUX's in the pocket and backing up Ramos, that allows RIGONDEAUX to control the pace. And that's not a good thing for Ramos.
Ramos thought the left hook was going to be his big weapon in this fight, has not used it yet. And he's moving a lot to his right, which is inviting that straight left hand from RIGONDEAUX. But you don't do that against the lefty.
Ramos threw all of 15 punches in the first round.
You love to see those guys move to the right so you can throw that straight left hand at him, didn't you?
Oh, most definitely. But again, if you're a slick boxer that has great instincts, you can make a guy miss maybe 2-3 inches and be in position to land a big shot. But it just don't seem like Ramos right now is mentally in this fight when his championship is on the line.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake here. Halfway through round number 2, and we wondered who would be the aggressor. It has been Guillermo RIGONDEAUX, that's for sure. The 31-year-old former amateur champion who won just about everything as an amateur. 2-time Olympic gold medalist, as Steve pointed out, won countless world championships, and as a pro, he is 8-0. Criticized when he fought Ricardo Cordoba in a fight on the undercard of Pacquiao and Margarito because he fought a very defensive fight in what was supposed to be his coming out party, but he's not defensive tonight.
No, and Rico Ramos, if you told me early on that he wouldn't be punching, I would say because he got countered and he got scared, but he's not getting countered. RIGONDEAUX made the fight and has been leading and hurting Ramos. Ramos has to stop moving to his right and he has to let his right hand go a little bit.
And Rico Ramos not getting his left foot outside the right foot of RIGONDEAUX, and you just cannot beat a lefty unless you do that. He's standing right straight in the pocket and not getting to his left, and he's just not going to beat him that way.
And when you look at both counter punches, both guys being counter punches, this is what we were somewhat afraid of, that both guys will start waiting. Nobody's taking initiative to be the aggressor, and they're looking for the perfect shot. And sometimes that's not always good. You want to hit the guy anywhere when it's, you want to land and score points.
It's happened a little bit here in round 2, although RIGONDEAUX, there's a good straight left hand by RIGONDEAUX. That was probably enough to win that round for him, and he'd been moving forward already. So not a stellar beginning. Reggie Jackson, the trainer of Rico Ramos, a new guy stepping into that corner to talk to him. There's your top super bantamweights.
Yeah, this is my top 10, and the most important name here is the one you don't see, which is pound for pounder Nonito Donaire. That's because Donaire hasn't fought at super bantam yet, but he's going to. He's moving up, and he'll debut in this division in 2 weeks against Vasquez, the former champ who I have number 5. If Donaire wins, he'll immediately join Nishioka and the winner of this fight at the top of the 122-pounders. But outside of those top 3 names, there really isn't much here. Not the strongest of divisions, but pretty strong at the top.
The all-time hit king, Pete Rose, who's a very big boxing fan, and he's on hand here to catch the action.
And I remember Pete was in a very good 8-rounder with Bud Harrelson at second base. Remember that in the playoffs?
Yes, indeed. I think he got the better of that, if I'm not mistaken. All right, we head into round number 3 of this scheduled 12-rounder. It has gotten off to a very good start for Guillermo RIGONDEAUX, the 31-year-old challenger against 24-year-old Rico Ramos, who's making his first title defense of this 122-pound title. Ramos down in round 1. Got it together a little bit in round 2, but as Antonio pointed out, both men were a little tentative in that round.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Rico Ramos told us he was nervous before his title fight. RIGONDEAUX full of confidence, if not cockiness. Well, what's happened in the first 2 rounds, if anything, just makes the Cuban more cocky and confident, and Ramos more nervous and tentative.
RIGONDEAUX has not lost a boxing match since 2003 in the World Amateur Championships. That's saying a lot. And the power punches tell the story, because RIGONDEAUX, with those straight lefts, has landed many more.
Yeah, and it's not like RIGONDEAUX is that busy. It's just that Ramos is not punching at all.
Ramos looks like a deer stuck in headlights right now.
He does.
Seems like he's thinking too much and just won't trust his boxing ability. And I mean, he's a young fighter, still learning on the job, but at this stage, he should know it's time to fight.
Yeah. And go ahead, Alan.
No, go ahead.
Well, he did fight this way with Shimoda for 6 rounds and then scored a 1-punch knockout. But he's not in with Shimoda now.
We may be headed for Plan B from Ramos. I don't want to throw that Plan A out yet.
Oh, Plan A been out the window.
It's gone already. All right, a little over a minute left to go here in round 1, and Ramos now starting to attack a little bit. And lands a little bit of a right hand and a little clutching and grabbing, and Joe Cortez will break them up. We mentioned the new trainers, Salas, the new trainer for Guillermo. Guillermo said that, he's helping me set down on my punches, and we saw a little evidence of that, certainly in round 1.
I tell you what, both fighters are not fond of trainers because, I think they both switched 3 times in their last 3 fights. So once they find somebody they can work with, then they'll be on their way.
6 trainers and 2 fighters, that's a lot. Good body shot by Guillermo RIGONDEAUX.
That's his best punch, that left hand to the stomach.
And, he uses the jab only as a rangefinder. Antonio made the point, it's not his strong weapon, which you think it would be more prevalent. But in this fight, he's used it at least as a rangefinder. Seconds remaining here in round number 3. Scheduled for 12 for the 122-pound championship. Rico Ramos defending the first time, down in round number 1. And things are not going well for him to this point. do it a little bit more, baby. Okay? Yeah. Keep stepping over to your left, throwing that right down to the bottom. But you got to come back with that left hook. All right? Double left hook. Okay? That's good. Take a deep breath. All right? Let them hands go. Throw it down. You let them hands go. All right? Don't get careless. Okay? Okay. When he starts.
I need you to switch them, okay? Don't concentrate in the same spot only, all right? All right, let's do it. Give me the Vaseline, please. Breathe in deep, breathe in deep.
All right. So Ismael Salas, a well-known and renowned Cuban trainer, and they made a big point, RIGONDEAUX's people, and RIGONDEAUX did, that the language barrier with Ronnie Shields and Freddie Roach prior to this was a big issue for them, that they needed to have a trainer, especially during fights, that could speak directly to the fighter.
And from a fighter's standpoint, I understand because, you know, sometimes you need to get that message across instantly, you know, and you can't wait to, you know, somebody interpret it for you. You need to hear that message immediately.
Yeah, it's a good point. You'd have to, for you, it'd be like imagining somebody doing that in a corner, and it doesn't feel right to you, does it?
I couldn't imagine it.
That's why Antonio fired that Ukrainian trainer.
Well, you know, who can learn Ukrainian? It's not, you know, even Berlitz, you can't do it. Round 4, and this one is scheduled for 12. I'm Al Bernstein along with Steve Farhood and Antonio Tarver. Andre Ward joined us earlier in the evening and did a great job, and we enjoyed that. And Chuck Giampas here helping us with the scoring and officiating issues. RIGONDEAUX now has settled in here, and he's the only one throwing punches, but not very many.
Well, I'd like to see Ramos try to time that little flick of a jab of RIGONDEAUX. It's not really meant to score or to hurt Ramos, but RIGONDEAUX is so fast that Ramos, when he throws right hands, RIGONDEAUX just steps back. He sees it coming. How many guys have tried to hit RIGONDEAUX with a right hand? Basically everybody he's ever fought.
I thought Rico Ramos's plan of throwing those left hooks, double left hooks, which I think is a wonderful weapon against the southpaw, I thought that would be something that might be unique and work in this fight, and he hasn't thrown those punches at all. He hasn't stepped to the left and really set down to throw those hooks. Good left hand by RIGONDEAUX.
Yeah, Rico Ramos is going to have to just get comfortable enough to just believe in himself. Right now, he's doubting himself. Right now, you know, he's not really sure if he can get in there and land the type of punches that he wants. Right there, you see a slow jab coming back. He got countered. So right now, he's in fear of opening up, in fear of the counter punch, the same punch that hurt him in round 1. But he has to let that go and fight.
Under a minute left to go here, round 4, and let's make one thing clear. Guillermo RIGONDEAUX is not running around this ring. He's standing right in front of Rico Ramos. He's not punching that much, but he's the one punching.
And he did start the fight that way.
Yes, he
He's
did.
been doing it steadily, to his credit. And, you know, I'm only half kidding when I say this. Maybe Rico Ramos' strategy right now should be step on RIGONDEAUX's right foot before he throws the right hand. That'll keep him in place.
Yeah, yes, it will. Well, Louis DeCubas, the very well-known fight figure who's the manager of RIGONDEAUX, told us he thought RIGONDEAUX was going to hit him with one punch and end this fight. Well, he almost did that in the first round. It looks like he's looking for that. But round passes into the night, and the fans not excited about that round. Well, Strikeforce is back March 3rd with a full night of MMA action. This one is headlined by a women's 135-pound title match. Champion Miesha Tate, and she's exciting to watch, taking on the outspoken, and that's an understatement, Olympic judo medalist Ronda Rousey. Rousey started the war on Twitter, and they'll finish the war in the cage. The preliminary bouts also can be seen on Show Extreme beginning at 8, a great new innovation here on Showtime for both MMA and boxing.
When you're working with your left hand, you must keep your right hand up, all right? Okay, he's hurt already, all right? You cut it, he's already cut, you understand? You got him cut already. You already busted his mouth, all right? So keep busy.
We're headed into round number 5.
All right, let's go.
And Guillermo RIGONDEAUX in the white and purple trunks former Cuban amateur star, defected from that country, had to do it twice, arrested the first time. So he's had a very intriguing and difficult journey to get his freedom to fight, taking on Rico Ramos in the red trunks, who is defending his title for the very first time. Ramos was down in round number 1, and since then it's been a tactical affair, but with Rigondeaux doing most of the punching.
Well, a busy junior featherweight or a super bantamweight would throw 77 punches in 1 round. That's Ramos's total for 4 rounds. And Rigondeaux, not that much busier, only 101 punches thrown.
In fact, the average, according to show stats, is 59 punches around for fighters in this weight division. So both these men well below that figure. Again, the left hand by Rigondeaux.
This fight is starting to look very much like a fight I called in New York. Rigondeaux's 4th pro fight when he fought Lanty Addy. He knocked Addy down in the first round. Addy gave up fighting because he couldn't compete, and Rigondeaux just controlled the pace, nice slow pace, didn't throw many punches, won every round. It's starting to look like that here.
Yeah, Ramos very, very inactive, halfway through round number 5. And Rigondeaux doing enough to win these rounds. There's a nice jab from Rigondeaux, one of his better jabs. And again, he uses his pawing motion. I agree with you, Steve. Right there, that's where Ramos puts himself in position to throw the left hook and just doesn't throw the punch.
It looks like he'll throw 1-2 punches and he'll grab, instead of being in position to throw more combinations or give a guy angle. It looks like he's in hot water and he's putting his foot in there to see just how hot. He's not going to jump in this water anytime soon.
And there he stepped on the toe of Rigondeaux, a strategy suggested by fine trainer Steve Farhood. Well, this is a 194-day layoff. Good jab by Rico Ramos there. 194-day layoff for Ramos, the longest of his career. Perhaps that also is having something to do with this. Although we pointed out when he fought Shimoda, the title, this is the same kind of start he had.
You see Rigondeaux, very wide stance, and his footwork is magnificent. And what I mean by that, just watch when Rico Ramos approaches, how Rigondeaux has that escape route planned already to step to his left, or in that case his right. He can go either way. Beautiful footwork. The use of your feet is, to me, the most underrated part of defense. Just stepping out of range.
Seconds remaining here in round number 5, and Guillermo Rigondeaux has again controlled another round, due largely to Rico Ramos's inactivity. There's some body work by Rigondeaux to punctuate that.
He's slowing down. But you don't launch with that fucking right. Okay, take that step over to the left. Okay, keep it going outside. Take that step over to the left. You got me? Yeah. Okay. Take a deep breath. He's slowing down. He's slowing down. He's slowing down. He's slowing down. Yeah. Don't be careful. You gotta let them heads go.
Oye, ame maniobra, Rigo, con los pies. Ame una maniobra con los pies para poderlo golpear.
I want you to fade in with your footwork, you understand? I need you to start changing your fighting style, all right? And don't stay still too much, okay? Keep moving around. Keep moving around, okay? Don't stay still in one place, all right? Clean your gloves, Rigo. Clean your gloves, Rigo. All right, seconds up.
We head into round number 6, and the words of Ismail Salas might not be what every boxing fan wants to hear. You want to start moving around now, which kind of sounds like going into the 4-corner offense after you won the first 5 rounds. We'll see if that happens.
Al, I'm going to take my headset off and go over and speak to Salas about that. Do you mind?
Well, we've already acknowledged that you're a terrific trainer with your advice, and you know.
Well, Rigondeaux right now is in an interesting place. With 5 rounds complete, he's clearly ahead.
Yes.
He scored the knockdown. But here comes part 2 of the equation with him. Does he want to make himself more marketable? Does he want to make himself more exciting? Or does he want to hear the scattering of boos we've heard over the last couple of rounds?
It's a great point, and it's a lot of what this fight is about.
Yeah, I mean, with Rico Ramos, we understand why he's a little bit gun-shy. We just don't understand why Rigondeaux is gun-shy, because he's the one put forth the power punch, got the knockdown. Really, there's been no resistance for him going forward and making this an action fight.
That's a very good point. You can make the case more for Rico Ramos being tentative at 24 and in his first title defense, but not for Rigondeaux. And a lot is at stake. You know, when he fought Ricardo Cordoba, he was roundly criticized, and maybe some thought more so. Now, there's apparently a low blow. Let's see if Joker, well.
Joe seemed to indicate rabbit punch.
Yeah, yeah. And the left eye of Ramos is, got a problem, and now here comes Rigondeaux. And there goes Rico Ramos from a left to the body. And that one was very legal.
6, 7, 8, 9.
It is over. Guillermo Rigondeaux, with a body shot, ends this fight and ends the one-fight reign of Rico Ramos in the 122-pound division. And that is a happy Team Rigondeaux as they see their man in his 9th professional fight win a world title.
That's impressive. It's
yeah.
You know, but to the credit of Rigondeaux, he did what he had to do. But I just feel like when I look at Rico Ramos and his ability to do what he needed to do tonight, it was just a young fighter, way in over his head, became champion too soon. And where you go when you're champion, you have to fight the top-notch competitors. There's nowhere to go but up.
And Rigondeaux was a mandatory challenger, which is the key. But we like that. We want to see people fight real people in boxing. You know, you went through arenas in the light heavyweights where, you know, you fought Roy Jones Jr. and Glenn Johnson forever for 6 years, 3-4 years, and those were all great fights. Well, for Rico Ramos, this young 24-year-old, the disappointment is apparent, and they could not get it done against a 31-year-old who is obviously has all the skills in the world. And what we have to say, too, is he did end up winning by stoppage. Right. So there was power for Rigondeaux in this fight.
And like I said before, I didn't understand why he was gunshot. You know, this guy has all the ability. He needs to start putting it forth and working on that and letting the world see what he's definitely made of.
Well, he might have heard you on that one. Now, the action just before the fight ended. Now, there is a kind of a pulling motion, and there was a good left uppercut that landed. Now, this really bothered Rico Ramos. I guess maybe the pulling of the head down or something, and it made him tentative. And then Rigondeaux went after him.
Well, he was tentative the whole fight.
Yes, that's true.
That really didn't have anything to do with it. But in the future, Rigondeaux could possibly get disqualified or even a point taken away because that looked to me to be obvious that he pulled his head and hit him while he was holding.
Yeah, that was holding and hitting. There's no question about that. There's the body work by Rigondeaux, and boy, those were good body shots, and he can throw good body shots. This is his second fight in a row in which Rigondeaux, first against Willie Casey, and now in this fight, after the tentative performance against Cordoba, where he has won by stoppage and where he's won with his power.
And again, that's a 7-punch combination with the left hand only.
You said it. You don't see that very often, almost never. But this man has a very good left hand. Does not use the jab much, but he can land that left.
It's educated.
Now let's bring Chuck Giampa in to weigh in on the question of holding and hitting. Chuck, what did you see there?
Well, I thought that Rigondeaux did enough to control the rounds. He didn't go all out, but when he had him hurt, he knew how to finish him off.
And what about this holding and the hitting with the uppercut? What do you think of that? And Joe Cortez did give him a warning about holding behind the head.
He gave him a warning, but to me it wasn't that obvious where it necessitated a point deduction.
Right, and it was the first time he'd actually done that move.
Right.
So. All right, well, in any case, Guillermo Rigondeaux wins the title in his 9th pro fight, and Barry Egan is in the center of the ring. Barry? We're going to get to Barry in just a moment, and we're going to get the announcement in just a moment on this match. Right, and there you see these two men with some sportsmanship. And for Reggie Jackson, you see him there in his first outing with Rico Ramos. Didn't turn out the way he would have liked it. But for Ismael Salas, first-time trainer of this man. And there was a guy in the ring there, Ramon Garbe, a great Cuban amateur. Antonio Tarver only lost about 6 or 7 fights, and some of those weren't losses. Ramon Garbe was one that beat you, and he's the only one that did it legitimately, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he was a great amateur fighter as well. Never did make the transition to a great pro, but nonetheless, a great amateur.
He really was. Well, let's send things up to Barry Egat and get the announcement.
The time, 1 minute and 29 seconds of round number 6 for the winner by knockout and new WBA Super Bantamweight Champion of the World, Guillermo El Chico Rigondeaux.
Grandes amateurs no son grandes campeones. ¿Cómo tú te sientes ahora como profesional que hiciste que ganaste el título mundial?
Bueno, yo he hecho mi trabajo hasta ahora y me he mantenido al 100%, pero te dice que grandes campeones amateurs no han sido porque estos 6, eso se respeta. Son 2 títulos olímpicos, que eso no es juego, se respeta.
He says they got to respect. 2-time gold medal winner. That's the hardest thing to win sports, a gold medal. He's done it twice. And he would have been a 3-time gold medal winner if he wouldn't have took off from Fidel Castro, Cuba.
In the first round, he established himself in this fight as being dominant. Was this an easy fight for Guillermo?
¿Esta fue una pelea fácil para ti?
Bueno, para mí ningún boxeador son fáciles. Todos los boxeadores para mí tienen la misma calidad y pueden ser...
Max Rigondeaux, I believe we'll just live with that one and let those sophisticates who speak Cuban dialect perfectly throw in the E if they wish.
Go with that.
Or call him Guillermo. He's got spectacular trunks, that's for sure, and Emmanuel, one of the most amazing amateur careers ever. 388 wins in 400 reported fights.
I think he would be considered up there with the great Teofilo Stevenson as one of the greatest amateur boxers in history.
Cuba has produced, of course, a dozen or so fighters with records like that in their amateur careers. A limited array of them have appeared in the United States. The most prominent of them, probably Joel Casamayor, who was the opponent in Timothy Bradley's only previous fight here in Las Vegas on the undercard of Pacquiao Marquez last fall. Tian Kennedy's father was a middleweight boxer, and he takes a hard left hand from Rigondeaux.
The knock against some of the Cuban fighters, and Rigondeaux said that he was going to change that tonight, is that they get comfortable winning, as we say on points, accumulating points.
And there you see that power. I mean,
another great straight left hand, and Kennedy buckled. He buckles again on another one. And Tian Kennedy may have trouble staying on his feet here in the first round if he keeps taking the kinds of shots that Rigondeaux is putting on him now. Kennedy fires back. Russell Moore was watching, and now the glove finally touches the canvas, and Rigondeaux gets credit for a knockdown.
5, 6, 7, 8. Come here. You okay? You want to fight? Yeah.
I'm not sure whether Rigondeaux has thudding power, Emmanuel, but he lands his shots very precisely and very accurately and seems to land them where he wants, when he wants, such as that uppercut right there.
I am very impressed. Not only is he punching very accurate, I think he has good power, placing his punches good, and he's trying to make a statement tonight to show that he can punch and not just win points and lay back and come on later on at the end maybe, but he's trying to just score a knockout, and he's placing and mixing up his left hands properly.
By the way, I think Rigondeaux is a devastating puncher. He's just not in the package that we're used to seeing punchers. He's primarily a defensive fighter who doesn't throw a tremendous volume, but not only is he precise, he has concussive power in one shot.
A power counter puncher?
Yeah.
And, you know, he studied exactly the position to throw his left hand. He's studying all of the movements of Kennedy where he can feel whether I can throw it through the center this time. Next time I'm going to throw it on the side. He's mixing it up. Either I'll let Kennedy throw a right hand and I'll counter it by shooting my left hand after he misses.
That's a great point, Emmanuel. He's thrown the left hand straight. He has swept it. He has thrown it as an uppercut. And as you say, focusing on all of the various ways in which he can hit the target. Remarkable hand speed by Guillermo Rigondeaux in the first round, and he scored a knockdown over Tian Kennedy.
Right in front of him. Keep turning to the left. Listen, man, you get hit with a good shot. Don't try to be manning up. Grab him and hold him. All right? Then use your legs. Are you okay?
Well, stay standing there, straight up, all right? Keep moving on, keep going to the outside. Touch and move to the outside, Rigo. And use the jab. Use that jab so he doesn't come in. Use that jab. When you throw that jab, he doesn't throw the right. When you bring it down, then he comes in.
Here we see the punch that started the problems, which was a left hand after he let Kennedy throw a right, and he countered over. But what was also equally as impressive, that all of his punches he was shot with very clearly well-placed punches, and probably about 80% landed, which is very unusual. Even though Kennedy has his defense up, he still found ways to get between the gloves and outside of the gloves.
That look shows you that the left glove touched canvas. That's why it was ruled a knockdown at that point. CompuBox numbers one-sided. RIGONDEAUX, 18 of 26. That's 69%. These are power shots. Kennedy, 1 of 10. Only threw 10 power shots in the entire round.
Kennedy is fighting a good fight. He hasn't did anything wrong. He hasn't really made any mistakes. It's just the accuracy and experience of his opponent that's been able to find gaps and to be able to land the punches. But he himself is fighting a very good fight.
You heard the piece of advice his father gave him in his corner. Said, no, look, when you get tagged like that, don't man up and try to prove how strong you are. Grab him and hold him.
On a Pacquiao undercard at the end of 2010, in November, RIGONDEAUX fought Ricardo Cordoba. We called that fight. And with high expectations coming in, he really struggled and eked out a split decision against a tough guy, but in terms of talent, a more ordinary kind of guy. And I think that really hurt him, because it gave people an excuse not to fight him, as though they didn't already have one, you know, southpaw with punching power and defense. Because he wasn't exceptionally exciting, even though it was a tough fight. It was only his 7th pro fight. It was the first time he went 12 rounds. But because of his amateur background, he's perceived as this, you know, real veteran fighter already.
Referee Russell Moore a moment ago did a good job of breaking up a potential tackle before either fighter hit the floor. He had to move quickly to do it and got it done.
And you notice RIGONDEAUX does not use his jab much. He doesn't use his right hand too much. He basically concentrates on trying to set up opponents for a good left hand shot, whether it's a left uppercut, straight through the middle, a left on the side. There's a left uppercut. Doesn't use his right jab too much. He places his punches mainly with his left hand.
Fascinating the way he set up the uppercut, and there's a perfect straight left hand and the second knockdown of the fight.
4, 5.
Remarkably
6,
accurate punching so
7,
far from
Yes,
RIGONDEAUX.
and Kennedy hasn't did anything wrong.
Want to fight?
Yep, good.
When you say anything wrong, Emmanuel, you mean no glaring mistakes, no cardinal sins.
Right, throwing his punches too far back, getting out of balance. It's just that RIGONDEAUX is studying and knowing exactly where to throw those left-hand shots at.
In 21 fights, Tian Kennedy's only been knocked down 3 times, 2 of them in the first 2 rounds here. Coming in 20 fights, he had only been knocked down once.
And he almost went down on 2 separate occasions in the first round before he actually went down.
That was remarkable right there. Another combination on an uppercut, and there's the 3rd knockdown of the fight.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come here. Okay.
Interesting thing is, he's not badly hurt. He's just getting knocked down by perfect shots.
Perfect shots.
Keep going straight back with that right hand. Going straight back, straight back. Going straight back with the right hand. Go to the left. Don't reach with that right hand. Don't even worry about throwing that right hand yet. You can try to counter.
Here we see RIGONDEAUX just placing his punches very well, anticipating the position of Kennedy's right hand. We went directly through the center this time, just as Kennedy was jabbing. And now he comes right back with another one of them straight through the center again. And here we see the next knockdown, which is right on the side of the head, just as Kennedy was punching himself and left himself slightly open.
So as we come to round number 3, Tian Kennedy has been knocked down 3 times. by Guillermo Rigondeaux in the first two rounds. Once in the first, twice in the second.
Emmanuel, I know Tion Kennedy isn't exactly Abner Morris, but to my eye, there are three fighters, 126 and below, who I think have separated themselves from everyone else. I think Nonito Donaire is one. I think Gary Russell Jr. is going to be another. And I think Rigondeaux is in that category.
I agree with you 100%. Great assessment. And I would love when those fights take place to be there.
Those are the three. Yes. If I had a fighter, if I managed a fighter 126 pounds or below, I'd try to avoid those three.
Two of them are southpaws. Russell has extraordinary hand speed and a very polished southpaw style. A fight between him and Rigondeaux would be fabulous, it seems to me. The two lefties, both with power and with speed.
Eventually, they're bringing Russell along slowly. He's so dominant that, you know, he's just totally dominating solid but unspectacular opposition. Maybe he's not quite ready yet, but he should be soon.
More likely you would see Rigondeaux at some point against Donaire because they share the same promotional time.
And they're, as I mentioned earlier, Rigondeaux is not a seasoned professional veteran, but with 300, whatever it is, amateur
400
fights.
amateur fights, 388 wins, according to the record.
I've also seen reports of a 243-4 record for Rigondeaux.
So who knows? So who knows which it is?
But those three, I think, are the special talents below 126.
Maris is a volume puncher.
Oh, and he's a tremendous fighter and real fun to watch. But I think in terms of pure talent, maybe a half step below the other guys that I just mentioned.
Kennedy has avoided getting hit cleanly with that left hand of Rigondeaux, and as a result, it's been a fairly interesting round. Even though he hasn't been able to land any clean punches, he's watching out for the variety of left-hand punches from Rigondeaux, and it's kind of neutralized the attack of Rigondeaux at this point.
Looks as though Kennedy has stepped up the foot movement just a little bit, circling more constantly to try to stop Rigondeaux from landing that rhythmic left hand.
He's watching that left hand most of that.
June 16, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. defends his middleweight championship against Ireland's Andy Lee. July 7, it's a unification matchup as Nonito Donaire and Jeffrey Matabula put their 122-pound titles on the line. Also that night, always entertaining Brandon Rios faces Mauricio Herrera.
Throws a punch. When he throws a jab, do the counter punch and then finish off with the swing. This is the fourth round. Guy's done. You gotta work the body more. It's going to be more consistent with your attack. More consistent. You got to throw more punches. The guy's done. You throw a combination. He throws a combination because you let him build. You got to finish him off.
Seldom will you hear a more one-sided CompuBox report than the following. Power shots through 3. Rigondeaux, 36 out of 67. He's landing 54% of his power shot. Kennedy, 4 out of 31. He lands 4 power punches in 3 rounds. So that gives you a hint as to how Harold Letterman may have scored the first 3 rounds. Harold, how do you have it?
You know, Jim, I got 3-0, 30-24, Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, when you're up by 6 points after 3 rounds in a 12-round fight, it's going to be hard as the devil for Tion Kennedy to box his way back into this fight. Guillermo deserves an extra point in round number 1 for 1 knockdown, and then when he dropped him twice in the second round, he gets a 10-7 round, and he won the 3rd round because Rigondeaux, you know, looked real good. He landed good shots. So Rigondeaux by 6, but I got to tell you, if Rigondeaux was a finisher, he would have jumped on him in the first round and got him out of there. 3-0, Guillermo Rigondeaux.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about in the first round. A power counterpuncher, a guy who takes his opportunities and uses them perfectly, but who isn't exactly aggressively coming forward to try to get you. all the time.
And that comes a lot from too many amateur fights, too.
No, don't let him go. Let him go. Don't hold him.
Especially with the system that he's been, brought up under, which is that computer. Get a point, stay ahead, don't take too many chances, get your point again, stay ahead.
But I think Max accurately described what we saw in the Cordoba fight, and clearly he has improved and developed more of a professional style since then.
But Kennedy has not been able to mount any type of an attack. But Cordoba carried it to him and challenged him a lot more. Kennedy came down and basically Kennedy is doing what he's doing is trying to stay out of the way of the left hand punches for the most part. But he hasn't been able to do anything offensive himself.
He's throwing the right hand, even the jab, so gingerly you wonder if there's something wrong with it, Rigondeaux. He taps him with the right hook. He's not throwing it with real force.
Great point. He saves the real force for his left hand.
I think he's trying to soften it up and relax Kennedy a little bit. So every punch he was throwing the first few rounds was all power shots. Now he's trying to relax, touch him lightly, and then load up with the power shot.
I'm fascinated with Rigondeaux's full feints, Emmanuel. It's as though he rehearses the whole punch before he throws it. In the second round, twice, he put the left hand out there very slowly and brought it back. Second time he brought it back, then he launched and threw a perfect power shot that knocked Kennedy down.
Yeah, he's trying to pull Kennedy in, but he's really beautiful in terms of his defense. He maintains perfect balance. He slides just enough to make the opponent miss a punch, but still keeps himself in position to punch back.
Get him up. Come here. Ready. Okay, let's go.
Knockdown number 4. Every one of them on a straight left hand.
Yep.
5, 6, 7, 8. Come here.
Took my foot though.
He hit you. He hit you.
But he took my foot too.
Time.
Hey.
Just leave it right here. Go ahead and get down.
Listen, we're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive now. All right, we got to take some chances, man. All right? We got to start stepping up a little bit more. All right? A little bit more. Okay? Get water out.
You guys okay? Yeah. You guys all right? Everybody doing okay?
I'm good.
Kennedy told the referee that Rigondeaux had stepped on his foot, and as we could see, that is exactly what had happened. In addition to getting hit with a beautiful left hand. So legally, it was still a knockdown. If the referee didn't see or didn't consider that he stepped on his foot.
Could he have ruled it not a knockdown because Rigondeaux stepped on his foot?
I really don't know.
Harold, is there any rule about that?
You know, Jim, it's the referee's call. I mean, if the referee says that he went down because the other guy stepped on his foot, he could call it. But, you know, it would really be a stretch because he got hit with a left hand when he went down.
I remember Rigondeaux being hit with one shot so far in this fight. Tion Kennedy tripled up on a jab, and the last one hit Rigondeaux, and Rigondeaux was like surprised by it. And that was.
Were you surprised as well?
Yeah, I mean, good. By the way, that's what happens when you triple up on a jab sometimes. But otherwise, this is gym work for Rigondeaux.
Remarkably one-sided.
Unbelievable balance, though, in position of Rigondeaux. He slips punches and avoids them, and still is always in a great position. And he does just enough to make his opponent miss.
Slips 4 straight punches, as you saw. Blocks the next punch with his lead hand. Now he rehearses punches again and lands the straight left.
That is amazing, Jim. I've never seen that
I've never seen anybody do it.
before. It's not a feint. He's not tricking the guy.
Knockdown
That's
number
it.
5.
Good stoppage.
And Russell Moore is going to stop the fight.
Good stoppage.
Tremendous technical knockout performance by Guillermo Rigondeaux. I'm convinced. I'm buying. Want to see him again whenever I can.
Yep, and if he gets that right hand on track, sets some guys up with the jab and is a little busier.
And that was a technical knockout. Technical skills all the way.
Yep.
Clean, precision, technical punches.
Brilliantly done. And only the second loss of Tion Kennedy's career. Again, he came into the fight having been knocked down once in his career.
They may have to give him 2 losses
And
for
if
that
the
one.
last one was ruled a knockdown, he was knocked down 5 times in this fight.
Yeah, that might count for 2 losses, Jim. I don't know, but that was a dominant win.
Yep. Glove touched the canvas, so indeed, 5 knockdowns in the fight.
And in no time was really Kennedy in really serious bad conditions. Just he couldn't avoid getting hit with those clean precision punches coming from Rigondeaux.
I'm reminded of the night that Floyd Mayweather knocked down Diego Corrales 5 times, also with precise, accurate punching.
And Tion Kennedy's no Diego Corrales, but
Of course
still,
not.
but he's good enough that you shouldn't be able, as you said, to fully rehearse combinations before you throw them, and then throw them and they land exactly as you imagine. What is he, operating in the Matrix?
One whale of a show by Rigondeaux, and let's go up to Michael Buffer for the official result.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the MGM Grand, referee has to call a halt to the bout following that last knockdown. The official time is 1 minute, 11 seconds, round number 5. The winner by knockout victory, still undefeated and still WBA Super Bantamweight Champion of the World, Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux.
Kind of defense. He doesn't punch like Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux can punch.
Rigondeaux's treating Marroquin with a lot of respect early on. Marroquin with that wide stance, looking for a way to penetrate.
Yeah, the only thing you don't like about what Marroquin is doing is he's coming straight down the pipe. And Rigondeaux is laid back, waiting on him to come down the pipe. So anytime he comes, Rigondeaux is going to try to hit him with a counter.
Rigondeaux is so interesting to watch that even when they're standing there posing in the middle of the ring, there's still some kind of, there's something to look at.
Well, but he's a pure counterpuncher. And, you know, in a fight on the undercard at Cowboy Stadium in Dallas, when Manny Pacquiao fought there, he elicited tons of boos from the crowd because he was fighting against an opponent who simply wouldn't attack him. Rigondeaux's so disciplined. If the other guy isn't going to make noise, there's no noise.
That's exactly right.
That was the worst performance of Rigondeaux's pro career, and he won.
And you got to look at nowadays with a guy like Rigondeaux, we never really hear often of a guy with 10 fights being the world champion.
Of course, there's a 300-something amateur fights and 2 Olympic gold medals.
Of course.
And there's also the question of Rigondeaux's chin. When you have a southpaw with a great defense, and a puncher. Don't get the chin tested too often, Roy.
No, he doesn't get it tested too often. That may be why he has such immaculate defense.
Because he doesn't want to take one on the chin.
For those among you who note that it's unusual to be hearing from Roy Jones on a pay-per-view show like this, we want to point out that Emmanuel Stewart is still back home in Detroit under the weather, not feeling well, was advised by doctors not to travel this week. We wish him all the best.
Rigo, don't stay there. Remember, every time he's throwing, go through the other side. Through your right hand, okay? You got to keep your right hand up and throw one up and one to the bottom, okay, RIGONDEAUX?
Stop from one shot,
Take that away from the eye.
Don't stop on one shot. Don't stop on one shot, Robert.
Round one was a disciplined war of nerves. Roy Jones, how is Marroquin going to set up his vaunted left hook against such a strict, disciplined counterpuncher as RIGONDEAUX?
It's almost impossible because RIGONDEAUX keeps his weight on his back leg, which is the farthest distance away from Roberto. So Roberto can't get a short left hook across because RIGONDEAUX stays too far away from him. The only way possible to make that happen is to make RIGONDEAUX commit with his left hand and throw the left hook at the same time.
So there, Marroquin steps in with a right hand first.
How do you even throw the left hook to RIGONDEAUX's body the way he protects it with his elbow?
Yeah, you don't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The only way he can do that is like his corner told him, add 2 or 3 punches together. Don't throw just one. So if he pushes him back and gets him to stop at some point like that, when he counters, that was the time to land the left hook. So you got to trade with him almost. But what other chance does he have?
And he can turn out the lights with one punch, RIGONDEAUX.
This is textbook boxing. And by the way, the cut above Marroquin's right eye was, according to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, caused by an accidental butt, not by a punch. And of course, as we pointed out many times, conventional fighter against southpaw. Not unlikely that their heads will come together at some time.
Another odd thing about RIGONDEAUX is he paws with the jab. It's like a rangefinder, but I don't see him throwing it seriously to knock his opponent's head back.
No, because he throws a jab like I used to use a jab, kind of, which is only to make the guy come in after it. If you can bait him in with a jab, then you try to set him up. That's all RIGONDEAUX is doing. He's not trying to land the jab. He just throws it as something to keep you busy or to give you a reason to come in behind it. Then he can counter.
We hear about the NFL being a copycat league. Something works and all the teams adopt it. Boy, do you think that you had an influence there in your style and suddenly a lot of fighters imitating that kind of offense?
Not with the Cubans, because the Cubans
when he still had his fastball maybe in Cuba throwing 98 miles an hour.
September 29, Boxing After Dark returns with a triple header. Edwin Rodriguez against Jason Escalera. Nick Darchinian faces Luis Orlando Del Valle. Also, Alex Perez fights Antonin Becari. October 13, more Boxing After Dark, more good matchups. 122-pound champ Nonito Donaire up against Toshiaki Nishioka, who hasn't lost in 6 years. And in what could be a classic war, In fact, Max Kellerman says fight of the century. Brandon Rios against Mike Alvarado. They're both unbeaten.
Right here you see Rigondeaux roll his jab and follow with a straight left hand, hit Miracon high on the eye, right on that cut as a matter of fact.
CompuBox numbers through 2. Rigondeaux, a very cautious 18 of 93, 19%. Marroquin, 9 of 54. Can't find the holes in the defense. Can't find a target at which to throw.
Very discouraging when a guy doesn't show you anything, and that's the problem. Rigondeaux doesn't show you anything. He's not like a sitting duck. He sticks that jab out there to keep you from seeing anything, and the way he's holding his hands and his shoulder doesn't allow you to see a straight line to his chin. So it causes you to sit back and not punch as much as you should punch.
There's the first real attempt at a left hook for Marroquin, and it was nowhere near landing.
Sense watching Rigondeaux that it's like a Predator movie where he's studying the opponent and he's getting some kind of computer readout that only he can see, and then he finds the flaws and exploits them.
That's exactly what he's doing. And unless you put so many punches out there that he can't really register in time, then you're going to find yourself on the bad side of those punches.
This is really kind of a no-lose for Marroquin, isn't it, Max? I mean, frankly, not many people expect him to really have a chance to win the fight. If he puts up a good showing and extends Rigondeaux and competes with him in some way, he'll probably enhance his reputation.
I expect Marroquin to have some big wins before his career is over. And when you can whack with the left hand like he can.
He just caught Rigondeaux with a good left hook, though.
See, there you go.
Another one, and he stunned Rigondeaux with that left hook. Now let's see if he can follow up as the Cuban fighter is holding on. And Marroquin's roughhousing to try to get a chance to throw another shot.
Yeah, Rigondeaux is very badly hurt right now. He's acting like he's not, but he's very badly hurt.
That's why I'm surprised at how few people gave Marroquin a chance to win this fight. He can whack with that left hand.
And he can punch, and he can box because he fought some really good fighters in his time as well.
It was a right hand that got Rigondeaux in trouble. Marroquin missed with the left hook in the follow-up attempt here. But Rigondeaux is still not fully out of the woods here, and Marroquin gets him again with a right hand.
Got wins against Gary Russell Jr. and Adrian Broner in the amateurs. You're not sweating anybody.
No, you shouldn't be. And Rigondeaux's right eye is closing now from that left hook, look like.
So some good offensive thrusts here in the third round for Robert Marroquin.
Yeah, if he goes ahead right now and starts to trade with Rigondeaux, I think he'll find himself in a better position.
He tried a looping uppercut from too far away, and that gave Rigondeaux a chance to pop it back. Now another straight right hand down the pipe lands for Marroquin.
But he traded then a right hook for a left hand, for a straight right hand. That was a good trade for Marroquin.
Why is he hitting him with the right hand? Is it because Rigondeaux has to be wary of the left hook?
No, he's doing what I said he had to do to get to Rigondeaux. When Rigondeaux opens up to punch is when you have to punch. That's the only way you're going to catch him.
Willing to exchange.
There you go.
Another right hand lands for Marroquin before the end of the round, and he made himself competitive right there with a terrific showing in round 3. Before our main event, share your prediction for Chavez Martinez by participating in our tweet battle. Visit hbo.com/connect and tweet. Either Chavez wins or Martinez wins. Here are the current results in the tweet battle to this point. Very even. Even though at the time of the weigh-in yesterday, Martinez was getting more than 70% of the votes. Now, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s fans and supporters have chimed in. We have something like, the national general election there.
There you see Quinn followed that left hook followed that jab back with the left hook. Perfect counter shot. That hurt Rigondeaux pretty bad there.
And it was after that that Marroquin landed a right hand.
Oh, another hit, but 2.
Put Rigondeaux in more trouble. And CompuBox numbers on power shots in the third round. Rigondeaux 10 of 23, Marroquin 11 of 33. But the harder shots were landed by Marroquin. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 29-28, 2 rounds to 1. Guillermo Rigondeaux. Jim, I thought he pulled out the first 2 rounds. You know, landing that nice, hard, straight right hand, standing in the middle of the ring with his legs spread wide apart, hardly any clinches. But in the 3rd round, that left hook really staggered Guillermo Rigondeaux. I mean, Roberto Marroquin, I thought, really did some damage in the 3rd round. He deserved to get that 3rd round. 2-1, Rigondeaux.
Roy, with an eye toward what we're going to see in the main event, Marroquin unofficially outweighs Rigondeaux by 6 pounds coming in here. Now, we're in the 122-pound weight class where 6 pounds actually means something. Do you think that weight advantage is playing in Marroquin's favor already?
I definitely think it is. I think that's why he was able to hurt Rigondeaux so easily, because his weight, this is bigger weight disparity than the heavier weight guys. So with it being a lighter weight class, 6 pounds means much more. It's more like 9 or 10 pounds in the middleweight division.
Straight left hand by Rigondeaux moves Marroquin back. Flurry of body shots as Marroquin came in to get close, trying to throw another left hook.
It's not just that Marroquin has the bomb with the left hook, it's that he has the delivery system. He's a skillful fighter, and that's a combination, especially with young legs, fast hands. Dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Well, he did what he did in the 3rd round, just to repeat what Roy said earlier, against a guy whom Freddie Roach called the best defensive fighter he's ever seen.
That's exactly right. And that shows you his pedigree. You know, you have to have a great amateur background to be a great professional, to me, in most cases. And we haven't seen him a lot, but we know here that he has to know how to fight because he has wins over some top-notch professional fighters.
It's a style and a look, that of Marroquin, which will sell some tickets if he can win big fights. Right hand over the top, went to the top of Marroquin's head. Rigondeaux's head, I should say. Rigondeaux sneaked in a right-hand counterpunch underneath. There's another left hook that lands for Marroquin.
And Marroquin is getting a little closer to Rigondeaux now than he was earlier, so now maybe he can land that big left hook because he's much closer fight-wise now than he was in the earlier rounds.
Marroquin was on the undercard of Pacquiao Margarito, as you mentioned, Jim, and that night had all the look of a star, and he's showing why we thought that not that long ago tonight.
Waited to land a big shot in round 4, though, and was not able to do so, and Rigondeaux popped him enough to probably take the round.
Be first, Robert. Just be first. You're waiting on you. You got to make him fight, Robert. You're letting him counter too much on you. You got to throw more than one. Feel all right? Okay, come on.
Don't stay there. Don't stay there. Move. Go to the outside. Be careful with that left, all right? You put your shot to the body and then up top. Come on, just like you did in the gym. Let's go. Bring your right hand up. And move your legs. Come on, you know how to work. Don't let him take it away. Work it up top.
Rigondeaux's trainer is Jorge Rubio. You heard the very calm Paul Reyes in Marroquin's corner saying you got to make him fight. You're going to have to throw more than one punch at a time. Asking Marroquin to be a little bit more aggressive and make Rigondeaux work harder. Power shots in round 4. Rigondeaux 12 of 28. Marroquin 2 of 15. Exactly the point that Reyes was making. Can't throw only 15 shots when the other guy's throwing 28 of them. Down goes Marroquin on the perfect straight left hand by Rigondeaux. Marroquin leaned into that punch. First time he's ever been knocked down in his professional career. That was just a perfectly timed shot.
That's all it was, a perfectly timed shot. Just like that right hook right there. Now Rigondeaux's gotten comfortable, starting to show out a little bit, but Roberto needs to do something to steal the momentum back.
What do you think he's seen in Marroquin that's making him this bold after the knockdown?
Well, he realizes now that he can knock him down. He didn't know that earlier. Now he knows he can, so he thinks he's put a little fear in Marroquin.
But he also knows that Marroquin can hurt him, and he's in punching range with his hands down at times.
Well, but he has the timing like down pat now. Once you go past that second, third round, you usually can tell what a guy's going to do before he does it. If you're a good athletic person like he seems to be, like Rigondeaux seems to be.
And when he drops his hands, Max, like that, he has interesting feints. Very subtle little movements, which are eye-catching and bound to be a little bit of a rhythm disturber for the opponent.
That's a good point. He has unorthodox moves, and Marroquin's very good, but he's much more orthodox and therefore predictable.
But what Marroquin needs to do is just like his corner told him, throw more punches so hopefully you can get an exchange. In the exchange, you have the better chances because you're 6 pounds heavier.
Now we're starting to see the beginning of what we saw from Rigondeaux in his last fight, where he literally rehearses with the feints and then throws the punch in real speed, as though he wants to see what it looks like before he throws it.
And he does that to make the guy keep his hands at home. If he's doing that, as you see, Marroquin ain't punching back when he do that. So anytime he can stick those feints out there and make Roberto keep his hands at home, then he doesn't have to worry about being hit.
Sort of freezes the opponent with the feint and then goes ahead with the punch. Marroquin searching to land the big shot. Couldn't get it off before the end of the round.
Put more pressure on this guy. Back it up. Come on. The guy can't fight when he's backing up, Robert. Bring it over here. Bring it over here, man. Right here.
Marroquin, who had never been down in his pro career, instantly realized that his knee had touched the canvas and went to the neutral corner. Through 5, average CompuBox numbers per round. Rigondeaux 13 of 50, Marroquin 5 out of only 31. Not getting off enough, as his trainer Paul Reyes told him a couple of rounds ago.
Rigondeaux looked like Mike Tyson getting to the outside of that jab and countering like that.
Good straight left hand by Marroquin. Straight right hand, rather. Marroquin has to find a way to put Rigondeaux on the defense. Make him use his hands for defense, then he can use them less for offense.
Responding wildly to something here, but we focus on the action in the ring. Obviously, there'll be a rivalry in the stands tonight between Argentine fans, many of whom are up and waving flags, and Mexican fans, Mexican-American fans, who are waving flags of their own. And the chanting begins. Chavez, 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 and now the Argentines will try to drown that out as Marroquin and Rigondeaux go on about their business in the ring.
Yeah, they don't have a clue of what's going on outside the ring. They're just fighting. And I guess they think they're getting a lot of cheers for how they look.
Rigondeaux rehearses the straight left, then throws a little right instead.
He still allowed Medellin to get too close to him now, though, because if Medellin just starts punching more like that, he'll land some punches. He's just not throwing enough. But he has closed the gap. He's close enough to Rigondeaux now that he can land his punches if he throws them.
Now he gets power on the punches, but misses with the left hook. A couple of seconds ago, he landed a good right hand, but didn't really have full power on it. That's one of the things a great defender can do, is to move just at the last second and make you take something off the punch to land it.
But you got to keep throwing more. Good body shot by Rigondeaux.
Well, if you've been watching 24/7 at the build-up to Sergio Martinez against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it will not surprise you at all that Martinez was the first to arrive in the arena tonight. Came in at 5:30 p.m. His trainer Pablo Sarmiento there at his left shoulder as they walked through the hallway to Sergio's dressing room. He was carrying an Argentine flag of his own. And then about an hour later, 53 minutes later to be exact, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. with his entourage. More and more comfort with the camera in recent weeks. Julio with a little wave to all of you at home as he made his way in at that time. So both main event fighters are now in the arena and preparing for their big show. Middleweight championship showdown between a guy with a belt and a big following and another guy who has the legitimate championship but not as big a following. Round 7 of a scheduled 12 between Guillermo Rigondeaux in the orange and magenta trunks and Robert Marroquin in the black with green, red, and white. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, 59-54, 5 rounds to 1, Guillermo Rigondeaux. He's picking up, he's getting a substantial lead on the cards, Jim. I mean, after 6 rounds, he's up 5 points. He deserves an extra point to round 5 for the knockdown. He took him off his feet. That's a 10-8 round in favor of Rigondeaux. But I got to tell you something. The great Cuban trainer, Orlando Coya, once described Guillermo Rigondeaux to me as the greatest 5-round fighter in the world, meaning that he fought over 300 times in the amateurs, all 5-round fights. So, I mean, Marroquin is taking him into the late rounds. He's got a good chance to come on and maybe take control of the fight. 5-1, Rigondeaux.
Reminds me that the very great Cuban heavyweight Olympic star, Teofilo Stevenson, recently passed away. And one of the great unanswered questions of our lifetime, Roy, was what would Teofilo Stevenson have been as a professional had he had to fight 10, 12 rounds?
Oh, my goodness. What wouldn't we have liked to have known?
He had craft, right?
Yes, he did. One big punching guy with skills. That was the thing about it. He was a big guy who had skills. Anytime you get a big guy as big as he was with skills, you have a deadly package in front of you.
Also a courtly gentleman who was a pleasure to deal with.
Yes, he was. How many gold medals did he end up winning, Jim? 3?
And would have been 4 had it not been for the boycott in Moscow in 1980.
That's telling you a lot right there.
Well, check it. Let me take that back. He won the gold medal in Moscow in 1980 because the Cubans were there.
Right.
So, in fact, that was the 3rd of his 3. Okay. 72, 76, and 80.
Rigondeaux here is doing all the fighting now. It's not good for this kid Roberto Marroquin to let him just continue to come at him like that. If he doesn't throw punches, Rigondeaux is eventually going to catch him.
Well, Marroquin's in a situation now where he's gradually reaching the point where he would have to have a knockout to win the fight. Will he alter his tactics as the result of that? Or is it simply impossible against a guy as precise as Rigondeaux?
No, that should have been his plan coming in, is to knock Rigondeaux out because he's not as smooth or as smart a clever boxer as Rigondeaux is. His only chance is to knock the champ out. Rigondeaux is a great 5-round fighter, not a great 12-round fighter. Yet.
Now let's see if Marroquin has the stuff with which to force him to show what he can do over the closing rounds. September 22, join me for another edition of the Fight Game. Our main topic of conversation, the fallout from the competing boxing shows here in Las Vegas tonight. October 27, undefeated prospect Thomas Delorme takes on his toughest test yet in Carlos Abregu. Mauricio Herrera, coming off the superb fight against Mike Alvarado, faces undefeated Karim Mayfield, and Argenis Mendez versus Art Hovhannissian. Thomas Delorme, on Boxing After Dark, October 27, may become the inheritor to Miguel Cotto as the pride of Puerto Rico. He has the skills.
Okay? Y vamos a seguir con ella. Dale cosa, que muéveme la pierna, que mueve el cuerpo, vamos. Vamos.
Round 8 of the scheduled 12 between Guillermo Rigondeaux and Robert Marroquin of Dallas.
And when I say Rigondeaux is not a great 12-round fighter yet, that means he hasn't had for 10 fights. So we haven't seen him in a lot of 12-round fights yet. And that's why I would think that you want to take him somewhere that he hasn't been as much.
Well, in the 10 professional fights, Rigondeaux has 8 knockouts. And incidentally, this fight was on and off and on and off 3 times because of Rigondeaux's legal battle with a former manager in Miami. As recently as 5 days ago, Marroquin thought that he was fighting a different fighter, a taller, conventional fighter, not a shorter southpaw. So Marroquin's the one whose preparation for the fight was constantly disrupted by the changing opponent situation. Rigondeaux just stayed in the gym and trained and was himself, in his view, oblivious to the legal situation. He always knew that if he was going to fight, it was against Marroquin. Advantage Rigondeaux.
Yeah, you're right. And now we'll know for sure in a round or two if he really trained or if he didn't train. 9 times out of 10, he was in the gym already because he made weight pretty easily, it seems. So I can almost guarantee you that he probably was training. And by the way, Marroquin just missed him barely with a good right hand that may have caused problems right before the referee broke him up.
But in boxing, a miss is as good as a mile.
Well,
more so here than anywhere else, probably.
My point being, though, is that he's close enough now to land that punch.
Absolutely. Straight left hand lands for Rigondeaux. Marroquin keeps trying to set himself for the perfect shot.
Yeah, you can't do that when you fight a guy is as elusive as Rigondeaux is.
2 or 3 imperfect shots would be a lot better than just waiting like this.
That'll be your best out because you're never going to see a perfect shot on him. Good body shot by Rigondeaux.
And this is where these feints come in. He rehearses one punch and then either throws the same punch or throws another one. Putting into your head, you know, well, all right, he rehearsed a little right hook. Is he going to throw it? Oh, nope, there's a straight left hand.
See, he threw the right hook short, lightly first, then he threw it with thunder the second time. There goes the third time, too.
I have never seen anybody feint exactly the way he does.
Feint with his punches. Or he uses punches for a feint.
Left hook to the body by Marroquin. His best shot in a while.
Yeah, he should.
That's another thing he hasn't done.
Right.
Well, if you haven't heard from Max Kellerman for the last round and a half, that's because he's back in the hallway doing interviews with the main event fighters, which we'll be showing you very shortly as the evening goes on.
Manténme la mano esa de arriba.
A couple of rounds ago, we told you that CompuBox numbers had Marroquin averaging 31 punches per round. Now he's down to 29 punches per round, so the punch output is dropping as Rigondeaux is asserting more and more control over the fight as we go along. Subtle control. It's not as if he's blowing Marroquin out, but that isn't the kind of fighter Rigondeaux is.
No, he's not. And like you said, on the amateur level, it's very difficult to win or to deal with that new scoring system they have. Freddie told me yesterday also that Rigondeaux has 2 separate streaks of 200, I think 100 wins in a row.
So he's consistent.
Yes, very consistent.
Even if fighting him amounts to death by 1,000 cuts, he's going to get the 1,000 cuts in. I believe I saw a graphic that indicated Marroquin has landed a number of body shots down in the single digits. That's just not going to get it done.
No, it's not. And he has to be willing to take another gamble.
He's got a risk.
Yeah,
That's right.
He's not really gambling right now. You're not going to win just sitting here, so you may as well take a gamble.
All right, now Rigondeaux rehearses his straight left, then rolls the gloves. Rejoined now at ringside by Max Kellerman.
Oh, there you go.
Hard left hook by Marroquin, knocks Rigondeaux into the corner. Now's the time to unload, and Marroquin's trying to do it.
And now if he just keeps this up, now the referee giving him a time now.
That's referee Robert Bird, a really good one. Haven't called his name all night because he hasn't needed to be a big part of the action.
He is a very good referee. I thought that was a little bit unfair because Marroquin had a competitive advantage at that moment.
Yeah, but Marroquin caused that himself because he was hitting after the ref said stop, so Bird did his job.
Right hand lands for Marroquin. Little straight right hand inside, found the jaw of Rigondeaux. So those are 2 good shots in this round for Marroquin. Needs to crowd him and unload.
That's exactly right. He has to gamble. If he doesn't take risks, he can't win. If he takes risks, he sees that the 6 pounds obviously is having an effect on Rigondeaux, so use it. Put some gloves on his chin.
And if you wonder what the 6 pounds is, they both weighed in at 122. But Marroquin enters the ring unofficially at 134 to 128 for Rigondeaux. So there's a 6-pound functional weight advantage. You can see that Marroquin's just the bigger guy in every way. Bigger shoulders, bigger trunk, bigger legs.
He's also just a good, young, athletic fighter who knows what he's doing and can whack with the left hand. In with a master, but he's given the master 2 very dramatic moments so far.
Rigondeaux has spent the latter part of the round staying away, not landing, so Marroquin at the very least may have a chance to have won this round with the 2 good clean shots that he got in.
Gotta keep your hand up. He's hitting you with that hand. Keep it up. This man can't hit you if you do your thing. What's wrong? Let's go. He can't touch you. Don't stand there. Don't stand there. Throw and move your body. Move your trunk. Move your upper body. You gotta keep your guard up. Don't lean against the ropes. Get in the center of the ring and move to the sides.
Here you see Rigondeaux showboating a little bit, but he doesn't realize that he's showboating in the corner. So when he tries to throw the jab, Roberto steps in and lands that big left hook that we've been talking about, almost took Rigondeaux down.
Now here Paul Reyes and Miguel Diaz reacting in Marroquin's corner to that big left-hand shot. Round 10 of a schedule 12. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim. 88-82, 7 rounds to 2. Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, Jim, I got to tell you, it just bothers me that in a world title fight, the challenger doesn't try, you know? And that's what was happening for about 8 rounds. But then, all of a sudden, in the 9th round, Roberto Marroquin nailed him. But the problem was, you know, you got to be a finisher. You know you're so far behind on the scorecards, jump on a guy. You know, he tried it. Robert Bird broke him up. And after that, he didn't throw another punch. He's just doing too little in there to win the fight. So 8 rounds to 2, Rigondeaux.
In Rigondeaux's case, I think that's a lot easier said than done, because not only do you have to hit a very elusive target, but he's throwing bombs back at you, and they're laser-guided bombs, Roy.
That's exactly right, Max, and I was about to say that myself. Just like the uppercut to the body just landed coming in. Every time you come at Rigondeaux, if you don't hit him, there's a price that you're going to pay for it.
Saying, oh, go pressure him, throw a lot of punches, you go in and try.
And you miss him, you're going to pay the price for it.
Third time into the 10th round for Marroquin. Third time into the 10th round for Rigondeaux.
And if Rigondeaux can avoid that left hook for the rest of this fight, then the kind of fighters who should try are the elite in the division, the Donaire level fighters.
Every time Marroquin gets in and lands a couple of shots, Rigondeaux becomes extra cautious for about the next round and a half. Going back into the deep freeze. Bob, weave, low body shot. Bob, weave, little hook to the arm.
What is a little
there
annoying
he throws a 1-2.
About Rigondeaux's style is when we've seen, for example, Pernell Whitaker, slick southpaw, you couldn't hit, great fighter. But because the jab was busy, he was constantly putting hands on his opponent. Rigondeaux can go long stretches where he's not putting his hands on the other guy because he's not throwing the jab.
Good shot.
There's a jab.
Up shoot right hand, Rigondeaux does it again. Twice hit Marroquin with that same shot.
Only got 2 left, Roberts. Come on. You can finish strong, can't you? Come on. Just 2 rounds.
Let's go, you gotta throw hard. Let's go, we gotta do it. And keep working to that jab. Don't stand there in front of him. Move your upper body. Move things, do things. When you throw, he doesn't throw. When you throw, he doesn't throw. Let's go, we're doing good. We're good. Put the hands in so he goes down.
Moving now to round 11. First time to the 11th round for Robert Marroquin. Rigondeaux with a solid lead on Harold Letterman's unofficial scorecard. The rounds haven't been terribly difficult to score. Good straight left hand by Rigondeaux. Right on the face. Yep. It's very hard to mount a conventional attack against as good a conventional defender as Guillermo Rigondeaux. That's why Roy Jones and the rest of us have been more or less urging Marroquin to fight in a more aggressive style, brawl a little bit, dispense with all of this pretty boxing, which isn't going to get it done. But it's very difficult for a fighter to suddenly switch in midstream and do something he hasn't been trained to do in his whole career.
Yeah, this is true, but he's getting hit anyway. If you're going to get hit anyway, why not hit the other guy back at the same time?
Well, let me make an argument for Marroquin. He's had Rigondeaux do a real dance with his legs twice, almost knocked him down twice, and that left hook has yet to land on Rigondeaux's chin. That was higher up on the head that he did that damage with the hook. So when you know you can hurt the guy with one punch, maybe he doesn't feel he should throw caution to the wind until the last round.
I'll be trying to get over it before the last round.
Last round's only 3 minutes long, and he's getting popped right here as Rigondeaux is targeting straight right hands and straight left hands. Landing his jab, landing his straight left, drawing blood from the nose of Marroquin.
Good right hand by Marroquin.
That's the thing to do. Go ahead and let it rip. Your nose is already bloody. Can't get bloodier.
So Randall Bailey with Mike Jones not long ago. Get outboxed the entire fight and waited to land one of those big shots and landed it, knocked him out.
There's only one Randall Bailey.
That is true, Jim.
But this kid is capable of doing the same thing. He's just got to throw the punches. He's not throwing the punches.
Randall Bailey is one of the all-time edge-of-your-seat guys. Because as he showed against Jones, he can go 9 or 10 rounds doing nothing, and it only takes one shot.
That's the beautiful thing about boxing.
Absolutely. Showcase round for Rigondeaux, who bloodied Marroquin's nose and landed a couple of good body shots to finish off the round.
The bucket, the bucket. Be careful, you gotta throw, you gotta be careful. You gotta give your hands up and move your upper body. You gotta throw up top. The guy's finished. But focus, focus, eye to eye. Get your distance. That's your same distance, that's what you do now, for 2 shots.
This is the last round, Robert.
Cautious.
You gotta let the right hand. You gotta let the right hand go, Robert. Come on, double it up. Nothing but doubles, Robert.
Touch him up.
Round 12. Robert Marroquin of Dallas in the black trunks. Guillermo Rigondeaux of Cuba, now fighting out of Miami, in the orange and magenta.
Magenta, a color we very rarely see in the boxing ring.
I'm so happy to see it. There's just not enough magenta out there. Perfect straight left and a right hand follow-up by Rigondeaux. And Marroquin now has the second knockdown of his pro career.
Ocho, you okay? ¿Está bien?
That's that Predator offense.
Yep.
Well, he doesn't have huge power, but even standing right in front of you and throwing a simple 1-2, he can hit you with shots that you don't see coming.
And it's
so slick and so quick.
And it's the speed of his punches, Jim. It's not really necessarily the power. He has great velocity and speed on his punches when he throws them. That's what makes him so dangerous and deadly.
I think he's got some pretty good power.
Well, it translates to power.
That's
but
right.
I agree with Roy. It's the speed. It's the fact that he's deceptive. He feints. You don't see it coming. I mean, I think there's a valid comparison to Sergio Martinez in the way that he translates his speed into power.
That's exactly right.
It's not heavy-handed power.
That's what I was trying to say.
Lightning strike power.
No, it's not Sonny Liston, George Foreman thudding power.
Oh, good right hand.
Yep. Marroquin's still fighting. And this is probably what he should have done all along.
He sure should have. Why not? You're getting caught anyway.
And Rigondeaux has been rocked a couple times in this fight pretty badly, but he's kept his cool. I mean, the composure is really outstanding.
Rigondeaux's 31, Marroquin's 23. The young American has a pretty bright future in the sport. He continues to learn. Rigondeaux already has a glorious past.
Those are PhD. He's getting his PhD in here with Rigondeaux.
He sure is. The only other thing I think Marroquin didn't do enough is I don't think he jabbed enough. Had he jabbed a little bit more, it would have made Rigondeaux keep his hands home a little more and gave him an opportunity to throw more punches.
Well, how many times have we seen it, Roy, that a conventional American fighter, a guy with a style like Marroquin, will give up on the jab early against a slick southpaw defender? You just get it into your head, you can't land it.
It happens all too often.
And with the jab, of course, Part of it is about landing the punch, but you need to keep throwing it to keep your rhythm, set up your other punches, set up your defense. If you give away all that, you haven't helped yourself.
You're killing yourself.
That's one of the ways in which Marroquin got outthought in the ring tonight. Not totally outfought, but outthought by Guillermo Rigondeaux. Let's take a look at a perfect 1-2. Yep. Opposite combination, not the 1-2, really a 2-1.
That's exactly right. Through a left hand, followed by a crossing right jab, which was a very powerful punch right there. Great crossing right jab. Similar hook, semi-hook jab.
Right, semi-hook, like hooking off the jab, but just brilliant stuff by Rigondeaux. And maybe it was the reversal of the combination, left instead of right, right instead of left, which made it deceptive for Marroquin.
That's what caused the confusion.
Yep. For me and Marroquin. Sheepish grin for Rigondeaux as his trainer berates him a little bit for getting rocked 2 times by hard punches from Marroquin.
Marroquin landed about 6 punches in the fight. 2 of them did rock Rigondeaux, but you can remember almost every clean punch Marroquin landed because there weren't many.
Yep. Harold, who's judging this fight?
Okay, Jim. Glenn Feldman. Now, you know, Jim, we yelled and screamed that we want good neutral officials to the outside. We got Glenn Feldman, a terrific judge from Connecticut, the founder of the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame. He'll do a good job. Robin Hoyle, Air Force veteran, 34 title fights, always does a nice job. I got faith in him. Ricardo Ocasio, now this is a guy on the way up. So far he's done very, very well in his career. He's rather new, but you know, this is a one-sided fight. I think he'll be fine.
And now Michael Buffer is standing by with the scores, so let's hear who won the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Glenn Feldman scores it 118-108. Robert Hoyle 118-108. And Ricardo Ocasio 118-109, all to the winner by unanimous decision. And still WBA Super Bantamweight World Champion Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux.
Fascinating. In that shot, they don't even look as though they should be in the same weight class. Rigondeaux remains unbeaten as a professional. Final CompuBox numbers, he swamped Marroquin, landing 122 more, throwing 295 more, and landing at a significantly higher connect percentage. Power punches, let's see if Rigondeaux landed more than half. Close, 43%, as he lands 73 more power punches, throws 60 more, and holds Marroquin to only 20% connect percentage on his big shots. And a look at Punch Zone. As you orient yourself to all of our graphic schemes, this one tells you where the punches landed. And on Rigondeaux, you can see that there were 45 punches landed to the head, but only 11 body shots in the whole fight. And perhaps Marroquin should have worked harder to invest in the body and see if he could wear Rigondeaux down a bit, and maybe put that size advantage to work. Landed on Marroquin, 84 shots to the left side of Marroquin's head. That's the jab and hook.
Las horas y la programación de boxeo que hay por Box Azteca 7, la casa del boxeo. Suena la campana. Vámonos de campana a campana y de esquina a esquina. Vaya duelo, señores, a través de Box Azteca 7. Un campeón de 14 en el ring. Tecate patrocinador oficial. Evita el exceso.
Arrancó ya la contienda, efectivamente, el equipo de Box Azteca aquí al filo de las cuerdas. El equipo que usted ya conoce, el equipo que está... Todos los que estamos aquí pegaditos en ringside semana tras semana, aquí estamos con este trabajo permanente e inicia la contienda a la izquierda y de Rigondeaux
Así recibe a Filipino Flash. Con esa mano izquierda, un golpe exacto, no tiene errores. Como nuevo Josh Foreman Ultra, el colorante a prueba de errores que cubre las canas. Deja de actuar cuando llegas al color perfecto. Con Josh Foreman Ultra, no más canas. Inicia calientita la pelea, Julio.
Fíjate, Rodolfo, que me llama la atención que RIGONDEAUX está sumamente seguro de sí mismo, confiado, no le tiene miedo a Donaire. Creo que vamos a ver una gran pelea y creo que el que se conecte primero, quién sabe qué es lo que pueda pasar.
Ahí están las guardias encontradas, están midiendo, se están viendo qué armas porta, pero también están soltando unos cañonazos tremendos, vistiendo la pantaloneta en color amarillo. Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire, el huracán. Aquí tenemos a este hombre que viene de Cuba, Guillermo Rigondeaux, con la pantaloneta en color rojo. Los vivos son en negro y blanco. Tremenda contienda, detienen un poco el ritmo, pero la verdad cualquier cosa puede suceder en un instante, Marco Barrera.
Sin duda alguna, no hay que parpadear. Yo esperaba que Rigondeaux saliera a moverse, a agarrar la rapidez, no agarrar tanto la bicicleta, sino ponerle una pelea difícil, pero ahí vemos cómo lo está agarrando con esos cañonazos de mano derecha, que en una, no sé si lo trastabillaron a Donaire o lo aventaron para atrás.
Cuidado con el candado que le aplica ahí Guillermo Rigondeaux, pero la verdad es que son relampagueantes sus impactos. Vaya fortaleza, vaya manera de soltar esos bazucazos, la Amazon.
Entre los dos, el filipino Donaire es el más cauteloso. En realidad, cuando se acercó a probar la temperatura de Rigondeaux, le fue muy mal 2 veces.
Y aquí los tenemos de nueva cuenta en el centro del cuadrilátero. Se están midiendo aquí, observando un otro. Tremenda derecha. Ahora la que aplica Guillermo Rigondeaux. No solamente la izquierda se está volviendo un problema para Filipino Flash. Los golpes importantes, los golpes contundentes los ha conectado el cubano Guillermo Rigondeaux. Los récords son muy diferentes, más de 30 peleas de Filipino Flash, solamente una derrota y fue en los albores de su carrera. La perdió por decisión unánime, fue su segundo combate y lo perdió, y de ahí en adelante solamente triunfos y knockouts a su favor. Guillermo Rigondeaux, pocas peleas en el profesionalismo, pero no le hace falta por la experiencia en el amateur. Este primer round es historia en el Radio Music City Hall, y ahí le receta otra derecha de salida al cubano.
¿Cómo te sientes?
En la esquina, señores, de Rigondeaux. Y varían los golpes. Métele el jorobado para arriba. ¿Oíste? Pedro Díaz y Armando Fernández, los encargados. Esta es la marca de Marco.
Estamos viendo cómo Rigondeaux está apostando mucho a su poder y se ve muy fuerte. No lo había yo visto así en sus peleas pasadas. Va para adelante. Ese volado de mano derecha, no sé, de mano izquierda no se lo ha podido quitar Donito Donaire, en el cual los dos están plantados en el centro del cuadrilátero. Ni uno de los dos se tiene respeto ni miedo porque quieren dar espectáculo.
En el caso de Rigondeaux me quedó perfectamente claro lo que quiere hacer. Quiere meter a su zona a Nonito Donaire, y Nonito se está metiendo solo porque está proponiendo el combate. Sonó la campana, esta es la única, la más importante, la tarjeta de Don la Malamita.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire, comenzando bien la pelea. Cubano, esperamos la reacción de Nonito.
En el caso de Nonito, le conviene el boxeo a distancia, pero si inició proponiendo, nunca se esperó que el contragolpe de este chico, más bajo que él por 12 centímetros, fuera tan rápido, tan elusivo, pero también contundente en determinado momento, Julio.
Fíjate, Carlitos, creo que Nonito Donaire sabe la peligrosidad, de lo peligroso que es este Rigondeaux, y va a tratar de boxear estos primeros rounds, porque sabe que es muy peligroso, y Rigondeaux con esa mano derecha que no se la ha quitado por arriba Donaire, debe tener mucho cuidado.
Mucho cuidado y nunca bajar las manos, porque vean a Nonito Donaire que de repente las baja, y la izquierda que saca relampagueante Rigondeaux es durísima, es un experto, da el golpe perfecto, como nuevo Just Foreman Ultra, cubre las canas y deja de actuar cuando llega al color perfecto. Para resultados perfectos siempre con Just Foreman Ultra Lama.
Cambia un poquito Nonito con relación al primero, a seguirlo, a mantener la misma separación, probablemente tratando de abatir eso de ir hacia atrás y hacia adelante, la entrada y salida tan rápida de Rigondeaux que le da problemas.
En definitivo, trata de mantener, y ahora vean cómo intenta intentó confundir al cubano, pero el cubano muestra buena defensa, es cierto. Entró ya a la derecha por parte de Nonito Donaire a las zonas blandas de Rigondeaux. Eso puede ser una fórmula importante, pero necesita frecuencia de golpes, Marco. No veo con frecuencia a Nonito.
Fíjate que no se le ve la confianza para poder entrar, porque también Rigondeaux está muy vivo, se está quitando las combinaciones que le está tirando Nonito Donaire, en el cual está empezando a tirar abajo y vemos ese latigazo nuevamente de mano izquierda.
Es que tiene la cadera perfectamente hecha. Este hombre nació para boxear, lo dice el mismo Guillermo. Vean cómo se catapultó sin moverse siquiera del lugar donde estaba. Las piernas completamente marcadas, se movió la cintura y la espalda, pero latigó en 3 ocasiones y se quedó parado Nonito Donaire. Otra vez empieza Nonito. No ha tenido confianza para ganar distancia, Julio.
Sí, fíjate, lo veo un poco desconfiado, un poco desmotivado, Carlitos. Tal vez tiene miedo a un contragolpe del cubano, que la verdad está tirando bombazos.
Está tirando con todo y está tirando girando. Vean nada más ahora cómo esconde el hombro. Es lo que hacen los cubanos, es lo que hace su escuela, que se repartió por todo el mundo. Si alguien admira este boxeo es justamente Nacho Beristain, que de ahí toma sus raíces para traer a México grandes cosas. Y bueno, la cantidad de boxeadores que ha hecho Lama.
Comienza Nonito adelante en este segundo round, pero va perdiendo el espacio que había ganado ahora con la reacción de Rigondeaux en problemas el filipino.
Sí, sin duda alguna, alarma, señores, de los últimos 10 segundos. Alarma en la esquina de Nonito, que va a tener que reaccionar. Se mete Benji Esteves y le dice que atención, justamente con la cabeza suena la campana.
Escuchamos.
Está bien, relajadito ahí. Gente bien. Vamos ahí, campeón.
Le están pidiendo calma a Guillermo Rigondeaux, Julio César Chávez.
Tu libro. Está bien.
Fíjate, Rodolfo, que creo que fue un round de estrategias, que así va a ser estos rounds, yo creo, para Nonito Donaire. Como que veo a un Nonito muy desconfiado, como que no entra, todavía no agarra seguridad. ¿Por qué? Porque el cubano está... parece que el de la experiencia es el cubano, no Nonito Donaire.
Venga el veredicto de la tarjeta de Don Lama.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire. El cubano Rigondeaux haciendo casi lo que esperábamos de él. Nonito rezagado todavía.
Ahí la mano derecha del cubano funcionando a la perfección. Más me llama la atención en este arranque de contienda, llevamos 12 capítulos, es que precisamente a base de velocidad es como el cubano al soltar las manos está sorprendiendo a Filipino Flash, justamente con una de sus principales virtudes, que es la velocidad del cubano. No se queda atrás y cuando hay que soltar los puños lo hace de manera extraordinaria, con mucha velocidad, golpes relampagueantes y muchos de ellos llegando a destino final. Julio César Chávez.
Fíjate, Rodolfo, que siento que Nonito Donaire está esperando que se descuide Rigondeaux, que tenga un solo descuido para cacharlo con esa mano izquierda o ese cruzado derecho, que lo tiene bastante fuerte Nonito Donaire. Pero si sigue por ese camino Nonito Donaire, quién sabe cómo le vaya, Rodolfo.
Fíjate que en muchas ocasiones hace eso Filipino Flash, es un cazador extraordinario, ahí soltando la mano izquierda de nueva cuenta el peleador cubano, un golpe exacto, no tiene errores, como nuevo Josh Foreman Ultra, el colorante a prueba de errores que cubre las canas, deja de actuar cuando llegas al color perfecto con Josh Foreman Ultra, no más canas. Decíamos que es un cazador nato Filipino Flash, así que de ninguna manera se puede descuidar tampoco Guillermo Rigondeaux. Marco Barrera.
Y sin duda alguna, Utah, fíjate que está muy bien, le está apostando más a tirar al cuerpo, pero siempre hay respuesta por parte de Rigondeaux, en el cual saca la experiencia, ese nivel amateur que tiene ahí, lo está demostrando, moviendo la cintura, escondiéndose entre sus propios hombros, no dejando pasar ni hacer una muy buena combinación a Nonito Donaire.
Está haciendo un extraordinario trabajo también a la defensiva. Guillermo Rigondeaux está tomando confianza en la contienda, viene plantado y prácticamente se ha visto inofensivo hasta el momento. Filipino Flash, desde luego sabemos de su capacidad, de su tremenda pegada, y muchos hombres importantes en el boxeo la han probado. Vamos a ver si es el caso de Guillermo Rigondeaux, pero por lo pronto es como un fantasma, no lo ve, no lo alcanza Filipino Flash. Ahí se pone un traje de torero el cubano para salir elegantemente y quitarse el embate del filipino, Lama.
Donaire, como si tuviera una mira telescópica en el guante derecho, apunta, no sé si está apostando a un golpe, pero es posible. En cambio, el cubano está trabajando todo el tiempo durante los 3 minutos de cada round.
Ahí alcanza a dar un rosetón y buena mano derecha. Ahora ahora sí de Filipino Flash, aunque el cubano dice aquí no pasa nada. Benji Esteves, el tercero, atento. Otra vez la combinación del peleador cubano para cerrar el tercero, que es historia en el Radio Music City Hall. Y la próxima semana en la Casa del Boxeo Arena, Ciudad de México, el Vikingo contra el Diamante Mijares.
Tiene justamente lo que si tú estás buscando con la izquierda, tienes un hombre muy veloz, así que debes de tener cuidado. Esas son las palabras de Robert García. Escuchamos a RIGONDEAUX. Y caemos de inmediato, señores, a la marca es de Marco Barrera.
Pero estamos viendo una pelea en la cual está muy llena de acción. Quien estaría viéndola pensarían que no, pausada diría yo, pero no. Un RIGONDEAUX que cuando va para atrás, moviendo la cintura, escondiéndose entre esos hombros, subiendo muy bien la guardia, un Donito Donaire que quiere encontrarlo, se le escapa por el momento ahí, pudiéndolo agarrar con golpes abajo, pero sí, esos latigazos están latentes de RIGONDEAUX, en el cual cuando va para atrás regresa con la mano izquierda y la mano derecha de recto, en el cual le están funcionando muy bien. Así es que vamos a ver qué estrategia es la que puede salir más. Un Donito Donaire que debe de empezar a apostarle un poco más, buscarle al cuerpo para ir minando esa rapidez que tiene RIGONDEAUX.
Sonó la campana, señores, la única, la más importante, sí, la que todos conocen, es la tarjeta de Don Lama, la malamita.
10 puntos para Guillermo RIGONDEAUX, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire, el filipino no. Lo importante es que no se conforme. Falta mucho en la pelea, todavía puede hacer más.
¿Por qué me atreví a dar el antecedente de la cantidad de combates que tiene el cubano? Porque genera por disciplina un gran combate. Sabe manejar el contraflujo también. Y vean la fuerza que tiene. Señores, se está poniendo más caliente que ayer, mi Julio.
Sí, fíjate, Carlitos. Ya se dio cuenta este Donito Donaire que tiene que ir hacia adelante, Carlitos, porque trabajar golpe por golpe, porque si sigue así la pelea se le va a ir. Tiene que ir con todo para adelante.
Fíjate que RIGONDEAUX hace perfecto, maneja muy bien la distancia, es un maestro de distancia, pero también el flujo del combate. De repente está apuntando con la derecha, cuando ya se dio cuenta que va a atacar Nonito, sale en ese mismo flujo con defensa, porque conoce muy bien los movimientos del filipino, que ataca ahora a larga distancia, se está desgastando, pegándole al aire, no lo encuentra Marco.
Fíjate, se desaparece muy bien RIGONDEAUX, en el cual vimos un Donito mucha agresividad, esos volados, en el cual se le desapareció un poco. Es donde debe de apostarle un poquito, empezar a invertir al cuerpo para quitarle y minarle esa condición física que trae.
Él siempre nos ha prometido que quiere pelear como mexicano, pero nada más no le sale, no encuentra el cuerpo. Y no, perdón que lo diga, pero esto es lo que le pasa a Nonito. Él quiere ganar con potencia y arriba y ser espectacular, pero por algunos momentos le cuesta trabajo. En la ráfaga NBA, señores, tendremos mucho más cosas acerca de todo lo que vive el básquetbol, el mejor básquetbol del mundo. Sí, el de la NBA. A las 11 de la mañana, aquí en Azteca 7 la más.
RIGONDEAUX está haciendo exactamente el mismo trabajo desde que comenzó la pelea. Nonito es el que tiene que modificar lo suyo y lo está intentando, pero nada le sale esta noche. ¿O ustedes han visto que RIGONDEAUX pase por aprietos en algún momento?
No, me queda perfectamente claro que está queriendo ganar con un solo golpe y no sabe cómo hacerlo de otra manera. Todo lo apuesta a poder, todo lo apuesta a pegada, pero vean lo que tiene este cubano. RIGONDEAUX sabe perfecto la distancia, estira la mano y lo encuentra, lo cacha, le está empezando a cambiar los golpes también el cubano, porque lo sabe, y no tarda en aparecer una derecha que entra como jab y se la cambia de gancho volado, y esto le va a empezar a hacer daño a un Donito Donaire que ya desesperación empieza a tener, Julio.
Sí, fíjate, Carlitos, y fíjate que el cubano no está corriendo, ¿no? Simplemente está moviendo la cintura, está quebrando la cintura para la izquierda, para la derecha, y luego está contragolpeando a un Donito Donaire que la verdad me tiene sorprendido, pero yo creo, Carlitos, que tarde o temprano Donito va a tener que arriesgar.
Y va a tener que arriesgar con todo. ¡Entra, señores! ¡Ahí está el volado de izquierda! Pero se lleva tremenda derecha. Una y otra vez entra ahora RIGONDEAUX. Y esto empieza a ser un atasque durísimo. Se dieron con todos los dos. Uno abajo, uno arriba. Y esto ya es una guerra entre Filipinas y Cuba. ¡Vaya tiro! ¡Ay, tiro, cómo no!
¡En la casa del boxeo!
Think about the second attack.
Venga con la magia, campeón, ahí cuidado con los ataques, le están pidiendo mucho cuidado a Filipino Flash. Julio.
Se puso calientito, Rodolfo, se puso calientito al final del round, donde los dos se dieron con todo. Ahí mira, ahí lo agarra con ese izquierdazo muy bien, pero ahí lo recibe el cubano con esa izquierda muy bien. Creo que fue un intercambio de golpes donde hubo de todo, hasta empujones. y la pelea se está poniendo calientita, Rodolfo.
Así es, Julio, cuando Filipino Flash se dio cuenta que le puso esa mano izquierda encima al cubano, dijo es momento de arriesgar, se lanzó con todo, pero la respuesta del cubano también se hizo presente, así que la evaluación de esta guerra que estamos viviendo en el Radio Music City Hall viene con la tarjeta de Eduardo Lamazón.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondó, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire. La pelea, los minutos pasan, Nonito no aparece.
Estamos ya en el quinto capítulo, aquí está Filipino Flash en el centro del cuadrilátero. Es momento de meter el acelerador, de poner toda la carne en el asador seguramente para Filipino Flash, mientras que el peleador cubano ahí está aguantando a pie firme, resistiendo y por supuesto en el momento que tiene que soltar las manos, lo hace y de qué manera, lo ha hecho prácticamente todo bien Julio César Chávez.
Sí, fíjate, Rodolfo, ya se dio cuenta Nonito Donaire que es muy duro, muy peligroso el cubano, así que ya apostó Nonito Donaire a mover la cintura, a mover las piernas, a tratar de manejar más a la izquierda y más a la derecha.
Vaya round el que nos regalaron en el anterior y ahí la mano izquierda otra vez de Guillermo Rigondó, cuidado ahí con ese candado, la intervención de Benji Esteves se está pasando de rosca aquí Guillermo Rigondó, ahora sí que le está faltando el respeto a Nonito Donaire, Marco Barrera.
Sí, sin duda alguna, le está peleando de campeón a campeón, ahí lo que estamos viendo es que un Nonito Donaire debe de empezar a soltarse, de mover la cintura, acompañarlas con combinaciones porque los rounds se están pasando y se los está regalando a Rigondó.
Tiene que soltar las manos Filipino Flash, un saludo a todos los furiosos tuiteros, a Ramiro Urbina que saluda a Héctor Rude Boy de Culiacán, a tus paisanos Julio, el Huervix de Riviera Maya, también Romanesco de Chiapas, Israel Villanueva, Martín Elián de Tonalá, Chiapas y por supuesto la invitación para que usted esté muy pendiente de toda la programación. Quiero invitarlos a que no se pierda nuestro programa La Casa del Boxeo, un programa con toda la información semanal del boxeo, todos los viernes 10 de la noche por el sistema Total Play, canal 7.4 de HD y Azteca Deportes.com. Lavazón continúa calientita la contienda.
No creo que Nonito Donaire esté dispuesto a perder todos los rounds de esta pelea. Él es un gran pegador, tiene que intentar colar algún golpe. Rigondó ya se ha caído en otras peleas y ahí está la apuesta de Nonito, lo estamos esperando.
Ahí desmaya ligeramente la guardia. Filipino Flash está tratando de acortar a distancia, pone tierra de por medio el peleador cubano, prácticamente
Se le hace de humo, Rodolfo.
Así es, de humo y no lo encuentra y soltando la mano derecha. Guillermo Rigondó trata de encontrarlo de manera desesperada. Filipino Flash y Benji Esteves le pide al cubano que no lo jale de la cabeza, busca encontrar distancia con la mano izquierda Filipino Flash, pero no alcanza a descifrar el crucigrama tremendo en el que se ha convertido Guillermo Rigondó y estamos en los últimos segundos de este episodio número 5, soltando la mano izquierda. Guillermo Rigondó retrocede y no lo encuentra, no lo puede dejar quieto. Signos de desesperación, se fueron 5.
Dándole vuelta la mano esa arriba la mano, ¿ok?
¿Cómo te sientes?
Ahí, entero. ¿Cómo se va a sentir? Se siente muy bien, vamos.
Armando Fernández y también el caso de Pedro Díaz ya se están peleando, queriendo dominar la esquina. Caemos a la marca de Marco mientras le querían hacer la tumba rompecuellos a Nonito.
Un pequeño candado y le quedan a decir, fíjate que ahí lo que debe hacer es Nonito Donaire, si el plan A no ha resultado, que él lo ha llevado a cabo durante este episodio, debería de plan B. Hay que empezar a cerrarlo, no a corretearlo, porque estamos viendo que se desaparece muy bien Rigondó, en el cual da un paso para atrás, no se ve que corra por la forma en cómo se mueven pasos laterales, moviendo la cintura, moviendo esos hombros para no dejar entrar a un Nonito Donaire que no haya por dónde, así es que es darle pasos laterales para donde él camina, tirarle un volado abajo para ir pudiendo cerrar, agarrar confianza y cambiar de plan, porque el plan A como que no ha funcionado.
Robert García es un entrenador que le gusta lo físico, el ir a atacar con todo lo físico. Lo hace Brandon Ríos, lo hace Nonito Donaire. El único que no lo hace es su hermano, Mikey García, pero ese le entrena el papá, no Robert García. Por eso hemos visto esa gran dificultad que tiene Nonito para meterse al terreno de boxear por boxear. Solo la campana, la única, la más importante es la tarjeta de Don Lama, la malamita.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondó, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire. El round que acabo de calificar fue una clase de boxeo. Más que eso, fue un poema de Rigondó.
Rigondeaux.
Y la verdad es que lo mete a su zona, lo maneja perfecto. Y Nonito muy ganoso, pero no lo toca Julio. Y tiene a favor la distancia. Tiene a favor esa capacidad de alcanzarlo y de ser más veloz, pero no lo está haciendo.
Fíjate, Carlitos, está cometiendo un error Nonito Donaire. Le está caminando al lado derecho. Debe caminar al lado izquierdo. Porque cuando camina al lado derecho se le escurre muy bien Rigondeaux. Ya le agarró el ritmo de pelea, el modo de pelea.
Sí.
Entonces tiene que caminar al lado izquierdo. Y combinar esa izquierda y esa derecha y empezar a golpear al cuerpo, Carlitos, porque la cabeza cae sola.
Pero ve los pies de Nonito Donaire, no los tiene educados para cortarle el camino.
Carlitos, para mandar un saludo al Gober Maloba de Culiacán, que le está dando un gran realce al deporte sinaloense, y para Favela y también para Tania, que hoy cumpleaños.
A la víbora con peluca.
Eso al ratito.
Venga, y va boxeando ahora hacia atrás Nonito Donaire. La verdad es que el que lo ha enganchado, lo ha metido a su estilo, es Rigondeaux. Dale las piernas a Nonito Donaire. En las tomas abiertas observe cómo trata de meterse, pero no tiene la educación de hacerlo. Y Rigondeaux sí tiene eso. Entra, señores, Nonito con la izquierda y remata sabroso. También lo hace con la misma mano el propio Rigondeaux. Entra sabroso, le sacude todo el sudor Rama.
Bueno, ni la suerte tiene de su lado Nonito esta noche. Cuando coló una mano, iba a sonreír y llegó la respuesta tremenda que le sacudió la cabeza.
Caramba, qué cosa es este chico Rigondeaux. La apuesta que él tuvo de salirse de su país, por lo que usted quiera, pero termina por buscar el profesionalismo. Y caramba, está encontrando una noche de prodigio. Intenta otra vez y vean cómo vuelve a estorbarlo. Esto es clásico del boxeo, señores, y más del cubano. Lanza izquierda, derecha, pero vuelvo a meter la izquierda para protegerme y salir, Marco.
Lo sigue metiendo a su zona Rigondeaux. Ahí vemos cómo hace pasos laterales, va para atrás, baja una mano para invitarlo, pero se esconde ahí un Nonito Donaire que no haya cómo hacer un paso lateral para irlo pudiendo empujar hacia las cuerdas y irle golpeando abajo, pero como que en esta ocasión lo veo sin estrategia en este round.
Y vean nada más los pies de Rigondeaux abiertos, está siempre en punta, sabe meterse y Nonito los junta porque no sabe cómo recortarle el camino, no se mantiene en piernas para tratar de recortarlo, Julio.
Sí, fíjate, Carlitos, creo que Nonito Donaire debe de trabajar, Carlitos, no está trabajando, está apostando solamente un golpe, debe trabajar esa mano izquierda y esa mano derecha, que no lo está haciendo.
Y mira, creo que te voy a decir una cosa, y a lo mejor es mucho mi atrevimiento, pero creo que no sabe cómo trabajarlo, no sabe cómo trabajar un boxeador que se le está moviendo, se le está apostando
hay que golpear al cuerpo,
pero si ni siquiera lo alcanza. Señores, ahí está justamente Ruslan Prodovkinov. Y nosotros en 8 días Mijares contra Terrazas.
Y aquí en Nueva York aparece Timothy Bradley, que no se quiere quedar fuera de la jugada y dice: quiero enfrentarme a Juan Manuel Márquez. ¿Quién no quiere enfrentar a Juan Manuel Márquez? Timothy Bradley lo quiere, Lama.
Hablando de comentarista, Pepino Cuevas viaja a Buenos Aires, va a ser comentarista para la TV argentina de la pelea de Maravilla Martínez.
Ah, caray. Venga, rompe la distancia. Bueno, mi Julio, sorpréndenos con la magia, venga.
Veo un Nonito Donaire muy desesperado, no encuentra cómo entrarle a un Rigondeaux que se ha estado moviendo a base de cintura, a base de experiencia, aunque mira, ahí lo puso mal, pero fíjate cómo respondió Rigondeaux rápidamente con ese izquierdazo a la quijada que soportó muy bien Nonito Donaire. Creo que Nonito Donaire, si quiere ganar esta pelea, Rodolfo, tienes que arriesgar más. No pensar en tirar los golpes, sino ir para adelante con todo.
Ya se fue la mitad de la pelea, si es que logran cubrir todo el trámite, la evaluación del round, por supuesto. Llega con la tarjeta de Eduardo Oreste, el Amazon.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire. Por ahora, un triunfo de la estética, de los recursos sobre la determinación, la no determinación que se adueñó de Nonito Donaire.
Pues así como va la tarjeta del Amazon, tendría que ganar los otros 6 rounds Filipino Flash para aspirar a un empate, si es que los ganara solamente por un punto de diferencia, ahí manejando la distancia.
Eso es lo que tiene que hacer, trabajar, eso es lo que tiene que hacer, Rodolfo, trabajar.
Ahí conectó mi Julio, viene bien apuntado Filipino Flash, logró meter las manos, debe de invertir quizá, no en buscar un solo golpe, empezar a impactar de alguna manera al peleador cubano, porque se le está haciendo de humo, no lo encuentra, está poniendo tierra de por medio, no pierde la movilidad el peleador cubano Guillermo Rigondeaux, así que la situación sigue estando muy pero muy complicada para Filipino Flash, que todavía no tiene la confianza necesaria de arriesgarse a soltar una buena cantidad de golpes y cerrarle el paso con determinación, porque siempre viene la respuesta del cubano, Marco.
Claro que sí, fíjate que en la esquina le hubieran mandado a arriesgar un poco más, porque está esperando a que Rigondeaux falle un golpe y él querer tirarlos de él. Ahí vemos cómo quería hacerlo así, pero se desapareció dando un paso para atrás Rigondeaux, moviendo la cintura, y se va tranquilamente como que diciéndole: tírame uno para tirarte 3 más.
Sigue llevando las cosas con calma Filipino Flash, y yo le quiero invitar a que no se pierda Deporte Caliente, porque tenemos una sorpresa para usted, boletos para que asista a la Casa del Boxeo el próximo día, sábado 20 de abril, que se enfrentan Cristian Mijares y el Vikingo Terrazas, y ahí le hace un pasito tuntún Guillermo Rigondó a Filipino Flash. Vaya manera de manejar la pelea, Lama.
Es que fíjate, Rodolfo, Rigondó bajó la velocidad de la pelea. Él lo decidió y todos nos dimos cuenta, menos Nonito. Bueno, sí se dio cuenta, pero no encuentra cómo aprovecharlo.
No sabe cómo hacerlo, cómo entrarle a este desafío, y ahí se pone de perfil de manera elegante Guillermo Rigondó, y con el juego de cintura también empieza a realizar un boxeo huidizo que no está resultando ya en castigo para Filipino Flash, pero sí en abrir una brecha todavía más importante entre uno y otro esta noche aquí en Nueva York. Un round en donde incluso prácticamente no soltó golpes Guillermo Rigondó, lo hace ya al final para tratar de embuchacarse también este episodio. Interesante escuchar tu tarjeta para el siguiente round, Lamazón, porque este séptimo ha dejado de ser ya un round más en esta complicada pelea para Filipino Flash.
Esta es la esquina, señores de Nonito. Escuchemos instrucciones si es que hay. Necesitas meterte con más ritmo y empezar a ofrecer más combate. Palabras de Robert García. Esta es la marca de Marco.
De que un round que lo vimos muy pasivo a Rigondó, en el cual como que le quiso dar bola o se quiso caminar, saliendo muy elegante con pasos laterales, no tirando muchísimos golpes ahí, poniéndose difícil, agachándose un poquito más abajo del cinturón, pero sí, no dejando entrar un Nonito Donaire, que también yo pensé que al no ver que había respuesta de un Rigondó, se iba a acelerar un poco más, iba a arriesgar a tirar al cuerpo, a tirarle arriba, pero no, tampoco quiso entrar porque no lo dejó Rigondó en la forma en cómo se movía con pasos laterales, cómo se agachaba, cómo escondía esa quijada, y vemos cómo la esquina le está diciendo que, pues, que siga haciendo el mismo trabajo, entrando un poquito más a tirar las combinaciones que estaba tirando.
El Chacalito, señores, la verdad es que está tomando un ritmazo. Yo siento que este último se lo dejó ganar, quiso darse un poquito de tiempo y de espacio, señores. Sonó la campana, esta es la tarjeta de Don Lama, la Mita.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondó, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire.
No, Lama, perdón.
Yo di mi tarjeta, ahora puede la suya cuando sea su turno, porque no he terminado. Quiero decir que lo que acaba de hacer Rigondó lo hizo Willy Pep hace 60 años, cuando le apostó a un amigo que iba a ganar un round sin sacar las manos, y lo ganó.
Pero en lo boxísimo creo que fue la más. No sacó las manos, pero se movió, defendió. ¿Quién generó contacto? ¿Cuál fue tu punto de evaluación?
Creo que hay que premiar lo que hizo en el round anterior Rigondó, y hay que castigar hasta donde puede castigar una tarjeta la inoperancia de un Nonito Donaire, que no pudo aprovechar lo que le estaban regalando.
Bueno, pero tiró más golpes, conectó golpes. Rigondó no conectó ni un golpe.
Sí, fíjate que también estoy cruzado con el punto de vista que dice Julio, porque el boxeo se gana por golpes. Si es para movimientos defensivos, bueno, pues entonces que exista otra relación. En fin, vámonos. Ahí está justamente Nonito Donaire, que sigue trabajando con complicaciones porque no encuentra el ángulo perfecto para atacar. Y Rigondó se la sabe, señores. Más de 1,700 combates entre lo amateur, lo profesional y los que hizo de campeonato del mundo en lo amateur. Es impresionante lo que hace. Es decir, se esconde, desaparece, baja la espalda, ocupa su propio cuerpo. Vean cómo salen, cogiendo el hombro. Marco, dime algo. ¿Qué va a hacer Nonito? Porque lo están desapareciendo.
Que lo están desapareciendo por completo. Estoy viendo que el pie choca siempre que va a entrar. No hace un paso lateral para poder escaparse, mover la cintura, tirarle de volado la mano derecha o tirársela arriba o abajo, pero no está atacando como debería de hacer. Incomodar a un Rigondó, en el cual lo estamos viendo, hace finta que se va, regresa con espacios laterales.
Fíjate que es un boxeo raro el que nos está ofreciendo. Yo puedo decirte que en ocasiones no me agrada, no me gusta, pero tiene una efectividad terrible. La verdad es que está haciendo ver mal a Nonito, y a lo mejor todos los fanáticos de Nonito que están justamente aquí en el Radio Music City Hall es los que protestan, los que dicen, porque no hay un enfrentamiento completamente de intercambio, y en ese caso hace ver mal a Nonito, que vean, no puede, avanza, finta con los pies, pero se queda parado porque tiene que extender el cuerpo para alcanzarlo, Julio.
Porque no está peleando, Carlitos, porque no está golpeando el cuerpo. Cuando un peleador no encuentra al otro peleador, debe de buscarle al cuerpo, y solito va a agarrar la cabeza.
Lama, te escucho.
Sí, no sé qué decirte a esta altura de las cosas, Sara Aguilar, porque yo estoy esperando la reacción de Nonito, que tiene que venir, porque si no se va a tener que exiliar en la luna. No es posible la pelea que está haciendo. Intenta, pero no logra encontrar a Rigondeaux.
Sí, la verdad es que quizá un Nonito que antes jugaba con las cifras, es decir, él se sabía arriba en muchas ocasiones y entonces esperaba que entraran para él jugar con la aptitud que tiene velocidad y ese gancho volado de izquierda que ha sido muy efectivo. Ahora las cosas no son así. Me queda claro que Nonito le cuesta trabajo atacar cuando tiene las cosas en contra. Suena la campana, señores. ¿Qué momento estamos viviendo en Nueva York?
Está la esposa de Filipino Flash, está con un rostro de preocupación, sabe que las cosas no han funcionado, así que venga la magia, campeón.
Rodolfo, ¿cómo no va a estar preocupado? Está viendo a su marido perder la pelea, que no tira golpes, que no encuentra por dónde llegar a RigondeauX. Creo que Nonito Donaire ha dejado, se ha conformado solamente con, no sé, la verdad, tal vez... no sé qué decir.
Ha tenido recursos, Julio.
La verdad que no los ha tenido porque no ha golpeado el cuerpo, Carlito, tú, Rodolfo. Se ha basado solamente en un golpe y el cubano se le ha hecho de humo toda la pelea.
Por lo pronto han pasado ya 2/3 de la contienda, así que es ahora o nunca para Filipino Flash, para Nonito Donaire. Hay una gran preocupación en su esquina y por supuesto todo lo contrario en la esquina del cubano, donde irradian confianza ya Benji Esteves. Apresura a los seconds. Vamos a entrar al capítulo número 9. Venga el análisis del round que llega exacto con la tarjeta de Don Lama.
10 puntos para Nonito Donaire, 9 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux. Gana en el sorteo del intercambio de golpes Nonito en un round mediocre. Nada que haga pensar que se encamina a la victoria o a tratar de restarle a la ventaja que le llevan.
Estamos ya en este capítulo 1-9. Intenta ahí pistonear con la mano izquierda Filipino Flash. Es el momento de soltar los puños con alegría, sin duda, para el peleador filipino. El cubano también ha perdido un poco de potencia, un poco de fortaleza al momento de soltar los embates. Ha hecho una gran defensa, es cierto, en los 2 últimos episodios, pero esto se gana con golpes y todavía quedan 4 rounds que pueden ser determinantes, importantísimos para definir al ganador esta noche de contrastes. La contienda ahí, Guillermo Rigondeaux se lleva una mano derecha, suelta por fin la mano izquierda, se anima Filipino Flash, intenta recortar distancia para ponerle las manos encima el peleador filipino, pero no alcanza. Hay que meterle velocidad también a las piernas para llegar de manera más inmediata a presionarlo, y bien con la mano izquierda. Ahora sí entró el gancho ahí de refilón a la cabeza de Guillermo Rigondeaux. Julio César Chávez.
Fíjate, Rodolfo, después de un principio muy atractiva para la gente, también para nosotros, ha dejado de ser una pelea de atracción. Simplemente están haciendo una pelea de estrategias donde Nonito Donaire no quiere arriesgar, quiere ganar de un solo golpe, y eso no va a ser posible, Rodolfo.
Sí, y quizá el cubano también es sabedor de la brecha que ha establecido con Nonito Donaire. Dice, pues yo mejor lo espero, yo voy adelante, he dominado, he conectado los mejores golpes, no voy a arriesgar a menos que sea necesario. No sé cuál sea tu análisis. Te escucho, Marco Barrera.
Sí, yo pienso lo mismo. Aparte, ya nada más está dedicando a contragolpearlo ahí, da un paso para atrás y cada vez que ve una falla, una mano de Nonito Donaire abajo, le tira esas combinaciones, sale por piernas nuevamente. Ahí Nonito Donaire debería de ir encima de él, meterlo en las cuerdas, tirarle a 2 manos, arriba, abajo, arriesgar, porque ya vemos en el episodio que va y no vemos que arranque Nonito Donaire.
No está pasando nada con el filipino Flash, y Guillermo Rigondeaux está pensando en ganar la pelea. El Amazon no está pensando en dar espectáculo, no está pensando en querer noquear a Filipino Flash, está pensando en salir con el brazo en alto.
Por primera vez no me gusta Rigondeaux en la pelea. Comenzó a especular, me parece que es muy temprano para hacerlo, porque él tiene con qué pelear. No vaya a recibir una sorpresa a Rigondeaux. mal en este round.
Y para mí los 6 primeros efectivamente se los lleva Guillermo Rigondeaux, pero los 3 últimos creo que Filipino Flash, sin ser una maravilla, ha sido superior y por lo tanto con 3 rounds ya en la bolsa, pero esa es la opinión de cada quien. Aquí estamos en el Radio Music City Hall, viene lo mejor.
Estamos estos 3 episodios, tienes que pararlo de alguna manera. Hay poca eficiencia en la esquina justamente de Nonito Donaire. Esta es la marca de Marco.
Desde que se aventó mucho para atrás Rigondeaux, el cual está sacando la experiencia, sí, se le aplaude, pero lo que también tiene que darse cuenta que debe de coronarse a lo grande, no explosivo como lo está haciendo, tirando en las combinaciones. Había respuesta cada que Nonito Donaire tiraba una combinación, le tiraba 3, 4 golpes a un Rigondeaux que se fue para atrás caminando, como paseando aquí en Nueva York, pero necesita dar más espectáculo porque está enfriando este triunfo que iba para más, pero como que ya lo está dejando enfriar y se está conformando con irse a una división.
¿Qué es lo que, igual que como dice Don Lama, ver que Rigondeaux retrae su capacidad de boxeo y se vuelve mezquino? Palma tenía que ofrecer todo lo que tiene y está en el momento básico de su carrera, tiene que impresionar. Señores, sonó la campana, salió con todo Nonito Donaire. Esa es la tarjeta de Don Lama, la bonita.
10 puntos para Nonito Donaire, 9 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux, que para lo que queda de esta pelea, vamos a ver.
Ay, caray, pues salió Nonito con todo, ya se nos fue a la lona Rigondeaux, fue por resbalón, pero se quería salir tan precavido, ahora va a tener que cambiar de manera inmediata la estrategia, Julio.
Definitivamente, Carlito, si quiere ganar la pelea, tiene que arriesgar, tiene que buscar el knockout, es la única. El knockout y la experiencia existen.
¿Cómo no? Claro que existen y Nonito las tiene y las tiene bien puestas, pero no encuentra la distancia. Rigondeaux termina por abrazarse. ¡Ahí está, señores! ¡Entra veloz! Tiene su merecido por andar especulando. Si hubiera salido a ganar, aquí ya pierde un punto. Tenga para que se entretenga nada más.
La pelea cambia dramática. Nos preguntamos.
Y entró, señores, otra vez como lo quería Nonito. Esa izquierda que él sabe manejar. Pero ahora a ver si no se empieza a desesperar. Porque sabe que lo tiene. Sabe que lo puede encontrar. Y entonces va a ofrecer irse hacia adelante. Pero con un Rigondeaux que todavía se encuentra ligeramente mareado, Marco.
¿Por qué hasta ahorita, Donaire? Si lo podía hacer desde el principio.
Claro.
Empezar a arriesgar, soltarlo. Eso es lo que tenía que hacer. Pero estamos en el episodio número 10.
Y termina por fallar. Se le quedó paradito Rigondeaux. Entró 1 de 3 que lanzó. 2 pasaron demasiado lejos del cubano. Y otra vez Nonito vuelve a atacar. Al contragolpe también le saca a la izquierda el propio Rigondeaux. El cubano rebota hacia atrás. Nonito se prende. Rachel Marcial, su esposa, vuelve a levantarse para gritarlo con todo. Quien fuera campeona estadounidense de taekwondo y nacional filipina, ahí está también apoyando con todo a Filipino. No quiere que se le vayan los millones, Julio.
Sí, así es, Carlitos. Fíjate, la bala pero existe y ya lo agarró. Forzarlo, tiene que ir para adelante.
Julio, ni tan de humo, ni tan de humo, ya lo encontró. Y otra vez intenta Nonito agazapado como un cazador furtivo, pero tiene que encontrarlo, tiene que buscarlo, Marco.
Y tiene que arriesgar porque nada más se está conformando ahí con esa caída que tuvo. Debe de ir encima de él, apapullarlo, enseñarle que todavía hay poder y que tiene ganas de seguir como campeón del mundo.
Ahora el Chacalito, el cubano también se le está abriendo esa oportunidad. Lo van a cazar y puede hacer esto. Vean el contragolpe que hace. Una velocidad pasmosa, caramba, Lama.
No se lanza con todo Nonito Donaire. Probablemente precaución calculada, le tiene temor a la izquierda de Rigondeaux.
Y vean otra vez cómo está el cubano, tratando de engancharlo justamente con esa derecha. Que es engancharlo, que se meta a su zona, que vaya por él. Últimos 10 segundos de este round número 10. Importantísimo para Nonito Donaire. Tiene que ir por él, pero que no se quede parado. Dicen los filipinos y los cubanos. Entra, señores, con derecha, suena la campana. ¡Ay, tiro otra vez, Julio!
En la casa del boxeo.
Cojones enteros. Vamos, que cojones, no pasa nada cualquiera. Atiende aquí, vamos a recuperarlo, compadre.
Bueno, ya se están peleando aquí entre ellos, mi Julio. Que alguien los detenga porque... la magia.
Fíjate que ahí se descuidó, ese fue resbalón. Pero creo que Nonito Donaire salió ese round a tratar de terminar la pelea. Estuvo a punto de hacerlo, mira, ahí se descuida Rigondeaux y lo agarra con esa izquierda. Pero se levanta rápidamente Rigondeaux. Y Nonito Donaire no se fue con todo. todo, fíjate, no se fue con todo porque el cubano se le hizo un poquito escurridizo, pero creo que ahorita Donaire está despertando, no sé si le va a alcanzar, Rodolfo.
Vamos a ver si le alcanza la última mitad de la contienda. Filipino Flash de alguna manera ha sido mejor que Guillermo Rigondeaux. Venga la tarjeta al Amazon.
10 puntos para Nonito Donaire, 8 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux. Los dos saben lo que está pasando en la pelea. Nonito a tratar de noquear, Rigondeaux a conservar la ventaja.
Pues vamos a ver si le alcanza también para conservarla al Amazon. Estamos en el capítulo número 11. Aquí está Guillermo Rigondeaux, que ya probó los puños de Filipino Flash. Nonito Donaire no le queda mucho tiempo, son 6 minutos este round 11 y la última llamada en el 12. Por lo pronto salta a tratar de cerrarle el camino. Ahí se enfrascan en el furioso intercambio de golpes, pero hace falta más de Filipino Flash. Ahí con la larga mano izquierda alcanza a hacer contacto en el rostro, y Guillermo Rigondeaux más atento, esperando por supuesto a establecer su ataque solamente en caso de ser necesario a través del contragolpe. No está proponiendo, sino que está esperando, Julio.
Y Rodolfo, pero fíjate, otra vez Nonito Donaire empezó muy pasivo, aunque ahí se lanza, conecta muy bien izquierda y derecha. Debe de lanzarse con todo Nonito Donaire. Sabe que va perdiendo la pelea. Vamos, tiene que ir para adelante.
Ahí alcanzó a conectar Filipino Flash con la mano izquierda y con la mano derecha, y una pelea que también venía ganando de manera clara desde nuestro punto de vista Guillermo Rigondeaux. Si no hace algo más en este round, 11 y 12, cuidado porque las tarjetas, quién sabe hacia dónde puedan apuntar, Marco Barrera.
Que se la sigue llevando con calma Rigondeaux, saliendo por piernas, le tira un jab, da otros pasos laterales, vuelve a moverse. Un Nonito Donaire que quiso atreverse ya al principio tirándole esos rectos, atinándolos muy bien, pero salió con paso lateral Rigondeaux y está agarrando la bicicleta, pero para bien porque siente que va ganando la pelea, y pues aprovecho para mandarle un beso a mi señora madre, y ahí agarraron a Nonito Donaire.
Bien, con la mano derecha Guillermo Rigondeaux alcanzó a ponerle ese impacto a Filipino Flash, que necesita apretar en este último minuto del capítulo número 11. Cuidado, casi le da la espalda a Guillermo Rigondeaux, totalmente evadiendo la posibilidad ahí del intercambio de golpes, y Filipino Flash vuelve a bajar el ritmo de manera dramática.
No se va con todo, no se va con todo,
exacto,
Rodolfo.
Julio Lama.
Debe de irse con todo.
Esto es desesperante, la
Nonito Donaire es el que está presionado, él es el que está obligado a hacer el desgaste para recuperar terreno, y no lo está haciendo.
Ahí otra vez la mano izquierda del cubano. Filipino Flash no lo ha encontrado ni un momento en este capítulo número 11 que se está extinguiendo. Quedan solamente 15 segundos para Filipino Flash, y después los 3 últimos del capítulo número 12 ya se escuchó el aviso. El número 11 es historia aquí en Nueva York, en la ciudad de los rascacielos. Venimos con la última llamada.
Dale vuelta. Abre tu libro ahora. No te metas la sopa.
Oh, pobrecito, está mareado, caramba, le hablan todo mundo, pero está ganando el combate. Esta es la marca de Marco.
Bueno, va a ser un round difícil de calificar. Pastor Lamazón vio una pelea pues de un lado, después se fue de otro. Vimos un Nonito Donaire que se quiso atrever ahí tirándole esas combinaciones de rectos a un Rigondeaux que salió con pasos laterales, y ahí nuevamente se va para atrás apuntándole con ese jab. Y pues a mí en lo personal me hubiera gustado que Nonito Donaire se hubiera ido con enfrente con todo, tirándole arriba abajo, encerrándole, trabándole un poquito ahí el pie, porque se está quedando dentro. Cada vez que da un paso Rigondeaux no pasa del otro lado para así agarrarle con esas combinaciones. Y ahí vemos también la esquina de Nonito Donaire, en el cual pues ya no saben qué está pasando, le están pidiendo que tire más golpes, que tiene que estar fuera, pero pues eso lo tenía que haber puesto en práctica desde el principio de la pelea.
Y mira que me queda perfectamente claro, Marco, Julio, Lama, Rodo, que es un asunto interno del boxeador si él decide ir o no. Pero cuando no tienes herramientas, pues no las tienes, caramba. Suena la campana, esta es la tarjeta de Don Lama, Lama, la mía.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire. El filipino no puede hacer en un round lo que no hizo en la pelea, pero al menos, señores, debe intentarlo.
Y la izquierda hace
lo lastimó.
Ataca la mandíbula.
Lastimó la nariz tú, Carlitos.
Tuvo que masticar, medio moverlo.
Sí, mira.
Se cubre, porque Rigondeaux entró sabroso y ahora se va a atrever. Vuelve a aplicarle un chivo que se lo saca casi del cuadrilátero, caramba. Empieza a jugar este Rigondeaux.
Parece que le clavó la nariz, parece que le clavó la nariz.
Le duele a Nonito, le queda perfectamente claro. Julio. Dice cuidado y está tratando de cubrirse porque le dolió y en serio. Le entró un izquierdazo que le hace mucho daño. Y Rigondeaux se da cuenta y dice, voy a ir por todo. Que se atreva el cubano y que no empiece a especular. Julio.
Sí, fíjate, Carlitos. Mira, se está tapando la nariz, está lastimado, Nonito Donaire.
Caramba, qué cosa, señores, porque no solo Nonito está perdiendo el combate, está herido, está lastimado, lo han dañado. Fue una izquierda durísima que lo hace incluso.
Mira cómo se cubre,
el ojo porque igual ni siquiera está viendo. Quisiera que se quitara la mano para tratar de observarlo, pero no vemos el daño que ha tenido. Se está tapando completamente un ojo, está peleando con un ojo nada más.
Sí, quizá Nonito hubiera intentado un golpe de knockout buscando el milagro, pero está dañado. En malas condiciones terminando la pelea.
Entra, señores, una derecha sabrosa. Vaya gancho volado poderoso que entra del otro lado. Y ahora se queda parado Rigondeaux. Y no ataca. Y vuelve a meterle. Abre una izquierda durísima. Lacerante y poderosa, Marco.
La cambió de upper, esa mano izquierda que le dañó, que ahí vemos que se está tapando. Nos gustaría verlo. Ah, caray,
es el ojo,
que sí.
Es el ojo,
Pero iba para adelante, un Rigondeaux que si hubiera hecho eso antes, si hubiera firmado a lo grande.
Es el ojo. Vaya daño que le han hecho. Y ahora sí, Rachel Marcial no está nerviosa, está en la agonía total. Caramba, qué momento un Nonito Donaire que nunca lo habíamos visto tan lastimado. Había sido rey del cuadrilátero y ahora le están poniendo una felpa durísima. Va hacia adelante, termina por meter la izquierda, termina por atreverse.
Sí,
lo tiene cerrado completamente. Esta es una fractura de pómulo durísima. Y Benji Esteves ha decidido dejarlo arriba del cuadrilátero en un momento durísimo nada más.
Final dramático para la pelea, falta medio minuto y se pregunta cuánto falta, cuándo suena la campana.
Y Rigondeaux la ama, Julio.
Ha sido mezquino, no se ha ido con todo.
Claro, no se ha ido con todo. No ha tenido esa hambre de querer acabar a Nonito. No le ha tenido más que mucha piedad, porque era para que se le fuera con todo. Últimos segundos, Nonito lastimado. Vean el pómulo como lo tiene, completamente inflamado. Ataca a Nonito, casi se va del cuadrilátero. Momento muy duro y se burla ahora el Chacal. No me gusta nada de esa actitud, pero ha sacado una pelea y un lastimado llega a su esquina, rendido y acabado. El Chacal, señores.
Se ve
Coloma, dime la tarjeta.
10 puntos para Guillermo Rigondeaux, 9 puntos para Nonito Donaire. Creo que el cubano hizo lo suficiente. 116-111.
Esa es una fractura, señores. Es un golpazo que se lleva en el pómulo, pero también va hacia la nariz. Aquí tenemos uno de los momentos que genera este asunto. ¡Ay, caray! Es que va entrando Nonito y en ese momento entra el golpe.
Y lo puso mal, y lo
mal. Claro, por supuesto que está dañado ese ojo. Habrá que ver si no genera algo más, pero un Nonito que no estaba viendo completamente de ese lado. Puede ser el pómulo roto y entonces la carrera de Nonito Donaire va a cambiar de una manera circunstancial. Ese tipo de golpes, Julio, me acuerdan de Antonio Margarito que marcó su carrera. Marcó su carrera,
sí, parece que está fracturado,
Dice, no estoy viendo bien un poco, a little bit. Es decir, la situación no está bien. Rigondeaux también está dañado de uno de los ojos.
Oye, Carlitos, si se ve que en el boxeo no hay enemigo pequeño y no hay invencibles arriba del ring.
No hay enemigo pequeño. Eduardo, te siento con inquietud tremenda de hablar. Dime algo.
Vamos a esperar la decisión de los jueces, Sares. Continúa siendo dramático en Nueva York porque nada está garantizado cuando los señores de las tarjetas tienen que decir su decisión. Hay que esperar un poquito más.
Eso me parece en ocasiones de Rigondeaux un abuso de lo que estaba haciendo arriba del cuadrilátero y se llevó tan solo una advertencia. Vamos a esperar, señores, la decisión final.
Don't let him lull you to sleep with that shit, okay? Make sure that you use that jab and step into your left, okay? Don't just stand in front of him.
Mueve la mano adelante larga esa allá arriba. ¿Entiendes? Y lo hará.
Gotta keep your eyes alert all the time, right?
Ahí, la mano adelante, varíalo. Y abre tu libro ya, abre tu libro. ¿Está bien? Ahí entra, sale, vamos allá.
Being smart, but you gotta start pressuring a little more, okay, Neto? Because at that distance, he's looking for that straight left, and he's got a quick one. So we gotta shorten that distance, okay? Start shortening that distance.
Ahí, entero. Vamos a sentir. Se siente muy bien, vamos.
Neto, we gotta start picking it up. Let's go. We're throwing one punch at a time, and very few.
María, mira, cuando él venga, rompe la distancia, para que se quede en el aire, porque está tirando.
It's time to start thinking of your family, your baby coming, all right? We got to start. Come on. We need this 3 rounds. Nonito, you got to finish strong, okay? You can't let him get his distance.
Señores, ahí está. Nonito sigue tentándose esa zona. Muy lastimada. Vamos a escuchar lo que dicen los jueces.
Tom Schreck, 115,
115,
112,
112,
Julie Letterman, 116 to 111,
116, 111, todos, señores, es decisión unánime. No, Nonito, por favor.
Guillermo.
Claro, tiene que ser así. No había de otra, Nonito.